Ready whenever. I can just adjust on the fly.
Wizards fans, we are live. Welcome in to the Believe in Wizards podcast. I finally, after all these years of doing this, believe in the Wizards. So this is perfect timing. I'm Matt Modderno. Thanks as always for tuning in. Joined by me, as always, on draft night is my guy, Kevin Broom. KB, how you doing?
I am doing good. I'm looking forward to this. I'm hoping the Wizards get a good one.
Yeah, I'll take it. You know what? Hey, 2 would be amazing. I'll settle for 1 and feel pretty good about it. I do want to circle back to that in a minute. Chances of them actually realistically making a move here. Let's just start with a couple housekeeping items to get this going before we go. If you are watching this on YouTube, in the description of this episode is a link to donate to the Animal Allies Rescue Foundation. It is my favorite animal-based charity. If you've seen my little cat Arlo running around, he is a devoted Wizards fan. He's asleep in the background of this podcast at this very moment, off to the side here. Came from that rescue organization. They save sick, wounded, injured animals, and specifically cats and dogs, but some other stuff in there as well. If you are in Maryland, DC, Nova, those kinds of things, and you would like to add a furry addition to your family, they are a wonderful place to do that because, again, they are helping the least fortunate of our animal community here too. So link is in the description. I'm not tracking what we earn or whatever, but if you do make a donation and there's something you want to promote, band, podcast, job, just Wizards, you want to shout out a friend, whatever, drop it in the chat. Let me know. I'm happy to do that. Even if you don't, that's okay too. Happy to give all kinds of shout outs tonight. First one of the shout outs goes to my guy, Leor Newman of Sleepers Wizards. It's an amazing account on Twitter. Go follow them right now if you don't already. Leor is the best of us in the Wizards fan base. The man just does nonprofit work for a living. The first year we did this, the charity we raised money for was the nonprofit he worked for. And he's just still out there doing it. So shout out to him for just being like a first-class person and contributing to the donation here during this one as well. I'll match whatever people do tonight. So make me broke, let's do this thing. Happy to go into the red here a little bit because we'll make it back with all this podcast money we're going to make now that the Wizards are good again.
We'll make dozens of cents.
All 12 cents that we make here will go right back into the donation fund. So that's worth it here as well. Kevin, before we get going, for anybody not familiar with the great work that you do covering this team, please tell them where they can find you and all the things you put out there.
So I'm doing the first self shout out.
That's right.
Just go over to bulletsforever.com. Check out the stuff there. There's a lot of, I write pretty often, and you'll see a lot of draft content, including my big board, which is a few days back, but I think I published it last week. And, so that's where.
I love it. Shout out to the entire team over at Bolts Forever. They do an awesome job in general. And the man behind everything, Albert Lee. Shout out Albert, whatever he's up to tonight. I hope he's at the draft party or doing something fun because as much content as he's turning out also deserves it. So, Kevin, maybe run us through the big board here to get us going here. If you want to do your first 10 maybe, and I'll follow suit.
Okay. Quick. I'm looking off to the side. If I'm looking off to the side, it's because I've got the multiple screens set up here. And so I've got multiple things up here. So here, I'm going to go ahead and drag the big board over here in front of me. So I'm looking into the camera more. But so anyway, here's the big board at the top, number 1. So this is based on Yield Draft Analyzer, which is my stat-based draft tool. You can read about it. We talked about it in the last podcast. So every stat-based system has the same guy at the top, and that's Cameron Boozer. I do too. So I have Cam Boozer at 1. At 2, AJ Dybantsa. 3, Caleb Wilson. 4, Darren Peterson. 5, Keaton Wagler. 6, Darius Acuff Jr. Okay. 7, Alan Graves from Santa Clara. He's the first sort of big jump up or first big disagreement that Yoda has with the consensus. The consensus had him at 23 when I put together the big board. Then I have at 8, Kingston Flemings, guard from Houston, 9, Braden Burries, and 10, Merez Johnson from Michigan.
Okay. I like that. I think we are both higher than consensus on Merez to close out that group there as well. My favorite of the Michigan guys. And if the Wizards did end up with another pick later in this draft, I don't think AD is here long term. So having someone like Merez in the front court with Sarr, I think would be pretty darn good. Maybe the knock on Merez is he only measured like exactly 6'9", and he is kind of a bruiser big, although I do think he will shoot it at some point. So to me, he does big man things, and he and Sarr together would be a super potent combo. So if he's on the board at like 17 or something, Kevin, I'd be throwing assets to try to make something like that work.
Yeah, and at 6'9", he did have long arms, so at least the way that I do
freak athlete too.
Yeah, that too. But the way that I do the size thing, he came out basically normal for an NBA center. So, and that doesn't even take into account that he jumps out of the gym and that he's amazingly quick. So,
all right, first donation of the show here from Asif Stripe. 1999 for doing that. You are an absolute badass. Thank you. Anything that goes into the chat here too, I will throw into the overall donation when I make mine at the end of the night. So that's an easy way to do that too. People don't even have to go to the link if they want to do that. Although I will also drop it in the chat to make that easy as we go. All right. So thank you again for being awesome and doing that. Shout out to Cameron and Ryan in the chat as well. What's that?
I said, I'm telling, like, if you're going to put something in, put a comment in too, so we can read it.
That's right. Absolutely. Throw something our way, and we'll definitely read it out there. Let's see. Got some stuff from Loan Money. Attitude equals ability. Trey matters. He's bought in with the Wizards and earned the extension. A true point guard helps everyone. Young players grow faster with some. Why am I not just putting this up on the screen again? And controls the pace and gets them the ball. I agree. I like Trey. I would have liked him for less money, but I'll still enjoy him no matter what as well. So I think that's a reasonable way to look at it. And then following that up for Loan Money, key equals length, athleticism, and D around Trey. Bilal, Sarr, George, AJ, Wilson, and a physical center cover a lot. Trey doesn't need to be your best defender. He needs to be an offensive engine. I agree. Let length, rebound, and run. Yeah, like, you have to insulate him. So I'm with you. And I do think they have more infrastructure to do that than some of his past teams. So let's hope they keep building around that. And you know what, Kevin? I think taking a 6'9" guy with crazy athleticism, who at least profiles as a great long-term defender, is a really good way to continue to build that infrastructure. I know someone will say AJ wasn't that great defensively this year, but the tools are there. And it's BYU. Nobody plays defense. So he'll save it for Washington, I think.
Yeah, and he did say also, Dybantsa said that he was a little lazy on defense this year. So, hopefully in the NBA, especially if he ends up in Washington, that they will instill in him better habits.
Yep, I like that. Did throw like some unintentional shade, I think, at BYU. He's like, yeah, it was kind of a struggle at BYU to play defense. I was like, oh, okay. Don't think he meant it that way, but it was still funny to read. Shout out to Loan Money 001 for contributing here as well, going to a great cause. So I really appreciate you for doing that. Again, if there's anything you guys want to promote or shout out on the pod, we will certainly do that. All right, Kevin, I'm going to give you my top 10 in order here. AJ Dybantsa, number 1. Darren Peterson, number 2. I'm a crazy person. I have Caleb Wilson, number 3. 3A, 3B, Cameron Boozer. That's a cop-out. I'm cheating. I know. I just love Caleb Wilson so much. And I think he's crazy in all the best ways. So I'm giving him the real Mamba mentality bump of this draft class. I've got Michael Brown Jr. of Louisville, number 5. Darius Acuff, number 6. The biggest probably difference we will have, we both had a crazy power forward relative to consensus. Not crazy to either of us. Well, maybe we are, but in a good way, I think. You had Alan Graves, number 7. I have DMV's own Nate Ament, number 7, betting fully on the physical tools and that little stretch at the end of the year. I have Kingston Fleming's number 8, Braden Burry's number 9, and Keaton Wagler, number 10. I feel dirty doing that. I really do enjoy Wagler. I just can't get past seeing him in person this year at Maryland. He got absolutely cooked by Maryland's Andre Mills, also a freshman, and he just looked slow and just unathletic. And we had to release film of him dunking because people weren't convinced our 6'5" point guard could dunk. Just scares me. And I think this is the least you ever need athleticism to play in the NBA is right now in today's league. As long as you play with pace and IQ and all the space around you, it helps. But Just not who I would want to take, despite I think he's a great shooter. It just points to how much I love this draft. In the Matt Modderno index, he's a top 5 pick in like almost every other draft we've probably talked about together. So for me, it's like literally the top 4 guys. And then I would go Brown Jr. and Acuff, and then like 4 guys are all like kind of the exact same to me. And I don't really care who you pick from there.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this before, but I have, I think, 12 players. So number one, in Yoda, there's sort of you end up with a sort of a fixed benchmarks kind of score. So I can look at the scores and say, okay, this is where a guy with the score would normally be drafted, right? And so there are 4 players in this draft with scores consistent with being the number 1 pick in virtually any draft.
Okay.
And then there are 12 guys with scores that typically would put them in the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
And so Wagler is one of them. So it's not like you've got him 10th. Okay. I mean, in a normal draft, he's probably 4th or 5th, you know? Yeah. And so that's a good player, right? That's a really good player.
It's interesting too. Like, to me, I don't think his ceiling is as high as some of these other guys, but his floor is just like worst case scenario. He's a really good shooter who can be a secondary playmaker. That's still valuable on pretty much every team in the NBA. And I can make some kind of version of that case for almost all of these guys. Whereas like some years you and I have talked about this, it's like, well, if thing X doesn't go right for this guy, he may be out of the league in 5 years. And it's like a guy someone's taking 7th in the draft. And that's terrifying to me. And I'm so glad we don't have to do it this year.
No, it won't be an issue this year for the Wizards. I mean, really, with virtually all of these guys, I mean, Caleb Wilson, you could say, well, he needs to learn how to shoot. Okay. But if he doesn't, you can still play him at center, right? And
exactly. An athletic small ball 5 would be great.
Well, if small ball until he's like 23 and he's put on 15, 20 pounds of muscle and learned how to use his leverage, and then he's a monster, you know?
Yep.
And so, you know, and it's like, okay, Dybantsa, he needs to do the normal stuff that 19-year-olds need to do. Yep. Darren Peterson, you want him to be healthy. That's really probably the only thing. Cam Boozer, kind of the same thing. He's probably going to have to drop a few pounds, that kind of thing. But he's really good.
So, Kevin, I got a question for you.
Slipping down here.
I like it. I thought you were just like slowly reclining in. Like we're getting ready for a long night, which I'm cool with. How much actual Cameron Boozer have you watched like on the court? Because you are like strongly going the stats-based route for this most of the time, but I know you watch some of these guys. So how much of Boozer have you actually seen? And did you watch any of high school Boozer?
No, I watched no high school. Okay. So I've probably watched 45 minutes, an hour of clips, and then, you know, big significant chunks of a couple games, maybe. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've watched some, but I don't watch any video until after done the stats, done the analysis.
So Boozer's so interesting to me because everyone talks about like, oh, the high school tape of this guy or that guy. One, Boozer just gets it done whatever way you need him to get it done. And I think that's, you know, per our convo and our mock draft, apparent from the stats there too. He does a lot of things really well, but was like kind of a wing at times and would be like a point forward and guard people on the perimeter and bring the ball up the court. And like at Duke, he kind of put on a decent amount of weight and operated more as like a 4 or 5. Like they had real 5, so he didn't have to play it, but there were times where he was anchored in the paint and Malik Brown kind of roamed. So he was sort of the de facto 5, but he was like, they were running offense through him and like dribble handoffs and at the elbow. And so it was just totally different than like him grabbing and going and playmaking on the perimeter. And I'm not sure what the best version of him is in the NBA, but the thought of like, if he can strike the balance between having the size and strength to be a big, but also get back to maybe a little more of that like wingishness. Oh shit. Now maybe that is the guy with the highest ceiling in the draft here all of a sudden. And sometimes guys just grow and get bigger and they grow out of that high school frame. And like, shout out Wizards broadcaster Drew Gooden. Drew is one of my 4 favorite college basketball players of all time. He just kind of thicked up in the league and it changed the way he played. And, you know, it was just interesting to see how his game evolved. And I wonder if that's a thing Boozer can get back to at all.
Yeah. So since we did the mock draft and we agreed on Dybantsa as the top pick, I think that's probably ultimately the Wizards pick. It'll be probably Dybantsa or Peterson. But I went back and did some more looking at Boozer, and I was looking for some historical comps. Basically, who are the players who put up that kind of combination of making shots, rebounding, setting teammates up, being a playmaker, doing all that kind of stuff. I mean, you saw Boozer doing stuff. Even at Duke, he was doing this stuff where they were running some inverted pick and roll kind of stuff. They certainly used him a lot as a hub passer.
Yeah.
As a screener, all these kinds of things. Plus, I mean, he's a knockdown shooter. And so it's like, who are some of the players that are like that? And basically everybody who was as productive as he was turned out to be really good. But there are a couple of exceptions. One of them being Zion Williamson.
Interesting. Okay.
Got hurt and a lot, but Zion was obviously insanely productive as a college player. And another one is Michael Beasley. Those are the kind of the only two that really didn't produce. And Beasley, turns out that he, fell in love with marijuana and had some other issues.
Happens to the best of, I was going to say us as a non-smoker. It doesn't happen to me, but it happens to people. So,
It does happen to people. And, it stuff happens. And so I don't get a sense that that's an issue with Boozer. And it's unlikely to be an issue, but I mean, the guys who are like productive like he was, and he did this at 18, are people like Larry Bird, right? I mean, it's pretty crazy how good he is. And so I've sort of wrapped back around that I would be pretty happy if the Wizards went ahead and picked him at 1, because I think he could really be good. And like I said, I do think he's going to drop some weight and probably get a little more mobile than he showed at Duke.
We talked about this a little bit during the mock too, and it reminds me of when Kristaps Porzingis went from Dallas to Washington and got in on Pilates, and he bulked down and then like revitalized his career completely. So I think Boozer could maybe find that kind of mix, but it appears the pick is in here per ESPN. Have not seen AJ pick up the phone here on the side, so we'll see what happens. But until then, Firefox 1234 eyes. I love Will Sin 2. Kid is a dog, absolutely. And then AJRX 999. Sup, Matt? What's up, AJRX 999? Thank you for joining us. Appreciate y'all. Let's see how it goes. This any second now should be, the moment.
Yeah. Let's see.
As long as it's not the Wizards have traded down to the 11th pick, and got 2 second rounds back in exchange, I think I'm just going to be happy regardless here.
Yeah. I mean, don't want that. But if I hear that they've traded down to 3, I'm not going to be heartbroken because they're still going to get a great player.
Let's do this bad boy. The Washington Wizards are selecting. Let's go, AJ Dybantsa with the fire suit too, man. He looks like something between like a Navy admiral in the 1800s, but also he could have been an empire during like one of these past Japanese dynasties. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm loving like the little flower print there. So, Kevin, we did it, man. We're here. We've arrived. This is the face of the Washington Wizards, everybody. I'm cracking a beer to celebrate here. Got a little Pilsner from DC Brow for you here with my buddy Austin's cat on the side, because why not? And we're living large here, my friend. Congratulations to all of us. We've done it. We've done it.
Man, so cool. I'm glad. This is cool. I mean, I think he's going to be really good. He's super athletic, big time scorer. I think I said it whenever we did that mock draft. And I think, he's a guy who could score 30 a game in the NBA, I think, when he hits his peak. So very nice.
Did you say 30 a game?
30.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear. Also, cool Wizards hat. I might get that. I feel like I could pull off the dangly chain on the side and everything.
I don't have the broadcast on, so I can't see these things. So.
Oh yeah, that it's worth it just for the hat they gave him. I just don't see how this doesn't work, and I probably just jinxed us all for life by saying that out loud. But I'm just excited. Like, he makes me excited. So Let's do this. All right, we got Kevin Wilson in the chat. Hello, fellow whiz kids. Let's go, Kevin. Also said that he's got his Corona with lime. Cheers, my friends. Absolutely, we've all earned it. We got Riley in here. We got Hostway. Like we're doing big things right now. So thank you guys for joining. If you could do us a very small favor and hit that like button for us as well, help other Wizards fans find the show. We appreciate that. Just also heads up, we have several of your favorite prominent Wizards content creator voices, whatever you want to call them, coming in and out throughout the night here. So we'll just get different perspectives from people throughout the community on what they think, and we'll kind of keep it going there. Hostway, the Wizards have never had a wing like this. I think that tracks, Kevin. Who was the last great scoring small forward? Bernard King?
It's funny. That's the first name that popped into my head.
I mean, like, but for real though, like,
yeah,
I've been playing 82-0 a little too much. If Bernard King is the first name I think of,
I think you could kind of sort of make an argument for John Williams, who's same era. Yeah, they were actually teammates. And which one was the 3 and which one was the 4 was a little blurry. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to think, go back. Maybe like Antoine Jameson.
Yeah,
but he was more
forward-ish and like floatery, and like, you know, it's just so different about how he went about it. And Butler wasn't really the scorer, so it's like,
no, this is, like I said, he reminds me a bit of Dybantsa. I mean, reminds me a bit of Dominique Wilkins, just in terms of the athleticism, that kind of mid-range game. And I think that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, but yeah, that's a good question. It probably is.
AJRX999. It's up and it's stuck. I don't entirely know what that means, but I love it. I'm on board. So let's do it. Kevin Wilson, this makes me feel. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say a little history. The Chicago, good Lord, I think it was the Chicago Zephyrs at the time. It might have been, they might have been Baltimore Bullets by this time. But anyway, they did pick a high-scoring forward from Utah with the number 1 pick overall. That was Bill McGill.
I do not know who that is.
Yeah, he scored. Well, there's a reason why. He scored almost 39 points per game, led the NCAA in scoring.
Okay.
38.8 points, like 15 rebounds. This would have been like 1962, 63-ish.
Okay.
And he was the number 1 pick, and then he kind of busted out of the league. So he didn't work out, but Dybantsa is gonna work out.
He's gonna work out. We feel that.
Yeah.
Kevin Wilson says, this makes me feel better than Trae Young getting signed for $212 million. Not sure I feel about that. We're going through it together, brother. Like this is a journey we're all going to take. But AJ cleans up a lot for us, I think. So
so I don't want to put too much of it. I did write, if people want to do this, I pre-reacted to the Trae Young signing.
Mm-hmm.
It's up on Bolts Forever. So check it out.
Okay. Sorry. I don't know everybody's screen names. So thank you for telling me. For those of you I know in real life, this is my guy, Al, in the chat here. An absolute hooper. My man has the all-time Euro step combo to score over pretty much everybody in the paint. So shout out to him for having actual moves, unlike me, who is afraid to dribble on a basketball court. But AJ Dybantsa, not afraid. What's that, Kevin?
I was too old to develop Euro step by the time it got out. So, you
didn't miss much.
I saw it was too late for me.
That's what I'm going to tell people as well. It'll justify the fact that I can't do it. My phone is lit. I swear my ADHD is bad normally, but it is going to be a struggle tonight because my phone is just going absolutely nuts right now. Because Kevin, I don't know how this is for you, but for most of my, everyone I know, I'm their Wizards fan in their life. I've obviously a few friends, but for the most part, I'm the crazy one.
Yes.
So everyone is reaching out to be like, you did it, you survived, it's here. So I don't know, that other people are hyped that aren't even basketball people, I think is pretty cool too.
Yeah. So the second pick is in, and Utah took Darren Peterson.
Yeah, I that smoke that it was Boozer at the end. I wonder if that was just Ainge trying to drum up some stuff there to, I don't know, make something happen. But
so
it's the right move.
If you're Memphis, do you go Caleb Wilson or do you go Cam Boozer?
It's funny. I talked about this with my buddy Jordan Mann, who does an amazing job covering Duke and is obviously a Boozer guy. Last night on Sleepers Media, and that scouting report on Boozer is up on Sleepers if anyone wants to go listen to that. But I said I would actually prefer Boozer fall to Chicago at 4 than go to Memphis at 3, because one, Memphis is a cluster F and he just deserves better than that. And then just like the idea of him with like Giddey and Bazelis and this big switchable, like 3 different guys who can like kind of pass, dribble, shoot at least a little bit, I thought was really exciting. Whereas like him next to Zach Edey is just like the college all-star team. And it'll probably be really good. It feels like a little less exciting to me. So for him, I'm sure he wants to go 3, but it would be fun to see him in Chicago, I think, because his dad also played in Chicago too.
Yeah. No, I think he'll probably go to. I think Memphis will probably pick him, but
yeah,
I think Boozer's going to be really good, and it would be interesting, especially if Memphis. I know they're trying to get out of the Ja Morant business, and so we'll see.
Hostway says, I think it's just Cam Boozer, the way people in the draft say how much Memphis front office value the analytics so much. I agree. I also just like, if you are trying to like expunge the Ja Morant era, like squeaky clean Cam Boozer is just like a good way to do that and start fresh. And he and Zach Edey combined will like sit at home at night and play Uno together and like never get in trouble. And I don't know. I feel like that's a much better way to kind of refresh your program there. Kevin Wilson says Boozer is going to average close to a double-double his rookie year. I see it. I like his game a lot. That would not shock me at all, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a pretty potentially tough physical team there in Memphis. Yeah. Got Edey and Boozer. That's a big team.
That's some dudes right there. So good luck moving them. It's interesting on like the Boozer front. On Sleepers, we did like superlatives for everyone in the draft. And I originally had most likely to average a double-double was Cam Boozer, because I think of anyone, he's like the clean, can get the 10 rebounds guy, because one, he'll get the volume to do it. But I ultimately changed my superlative to most likely to have to eventually Sharpie on a beard, because maybe it runs in the family. But that front court would be superimposing. And yeah, Josue said the same thing. They will beat the crap out of people. Absolutely. Which is kind of nice. And when you get to the playoffs, like they're letting that happen again. So
yeah, I think Boozer is the most likely from this draft to average 20, 10, and 5.
20, 10. Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Like if it was 27, 8, and 5, I could get there with AJ. You know what I mean? Like I just can't see him being a 10 rebound a game guy, but
I think AJ is going to play on the wing more.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a forward, but I think he'll be a forward in the sense of like, how the Wizards last year, Keyshawn George and Koulibaly were sort of interchangeable up front. Keyshawn George and Justin Champagnie were kind of interchangeable. And I think it's going to be like that, where it's going to be like, Keyshawn and Dybantsa, and which one is the 3, which one is the 4, doesn't really matter.
Yep.
It really doesn't matter in their system. So
yeah, that's the way they should want to play long term, I think, which is refreshing to see that that's their team building strategy again, especially if you're locking yourself into Trae Young for a handful of years here. All right, question, Kevin, from Kevin Wilson here in the chat. Can you guys see AJ averaging 20 points per game his rookie year?
Let me think about that. I didn't think that would be a very tall order, but before I answer it, I need to do a little research
on if anyone has done that as a rookie or when the last one was.
Last time. It's been a while, I think, but maybe
Carmelo Carmelo got pretty close. I want to say he was like 18 or 19.
Player season finder. I'll have it in a second here. So hang on just one second.
Also, WJM398 said, so Boozer's going to be rookie of the year. I mean, would that shock anybody? I think he's a prohibitive contender to do that. So we'll see. And Kevin said, I can see 15 to 17 a game in my opinion. Yeah, just given the guys that like the mouths they have to feed, like obviously Trae, they want to get his, and for Anthony Davis, if the goal is to flip him, you need him to get a certain amount of touches. So I could see Dybantsa kind of picking up after the All-Star break or something like that.
Okay, let me just say, I pulled up the list of rookie and sorted it by points per game,
Okay.
you'll have no shock that the guy at the very top, of course, was Wilt Chamberlain, because he's at the top of all these lists.
Like 38 per game as a rookie or something stupid.
37.6 per game as a rookie. And number 2 was Walt Bellamy.
There we go. Let's go. DC legend Walt Bellamy.
But let's see. Blake Griffin averaged 22. Zion was.
Blake Griffin was a fake rookie, though. So.
Yeah. Zion Williamson at 19 averaged 22.5 points per game.
Okay.
So he's Victor Wembanyama did it most recently.
I think Melo did it. He's the one I can think of. He's obviously not the most recent, but I think he is on that freshman wing.
Yeah, so I'm gonna rescreen because Dybantsa is gonna be. This will be his age 19 season. Is that right, or will this be his age 20?
Should be his age 9. Well, he'll be 19 to start the year. So I don't know when the birthday is without looking. Let's see if I can quickly.
So I'm just gonna go 20 and under. Whoops, not year. Oh, there we go.
Let's see. Dybantsa currently is 19 and a half. So
okay, so this will be probably his age 20 season.
Yeah.
So here you go. So 20 and under, you've got. I'll just read down the list here.
Okay.
20 and under, over 20 points per game. Only 11 guys have done it. So Shaq, Zion Williamson, Victor Wembanyama, Luka Doncic, Cooper Flagg did it last year. Carmelo Anthony, LeBron, Kevin Durant, Tyreek Evans, Elton Brand, and Paolo Banchero. That's it. That's the list.
That's pretty good company to be in. So if he can pull that off, I'll feel pretty good about
my guess is that I don't know. It'll be interesting. My guess is the Wizards will probably try to keep some of that kind of pressure off of him.
Sure. Yeah. I think so too. We're going to get Jahadi on here in a second to weigh in and drop some thoughts on the pick here. I cannot see your screen name next, but you have this emoji going. You said his birthday's in February, I think, a fellow Aquarius. Awesome. Very cool. Maybe you guys are birthday twins. That would be sick to share a birthday with Derek Peterson. And then Chris Mason said hi in the chat. Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining us. Again, we are doing this to raise some money for Animal Allies Rescue Foundation. If you want to throw a bone, metaphorically or literally, to sick, injured, wounded, rescue animal, or just adopt one, or one of those kinds of things, you can absolutely do that at the link in the chat here or in the description of the episode if you're on YouTube, or by the time you're listening to this on the audio broadcast, or you can drop one of those things here in the chat, and I will roll your money into my thing as well. All right, let's bring Jahadi on. All right, Jahadi, you're on with Matt and Kevin. Obviously, we're back here. We're talking. We did this last year for Trey Johnson, and now we're back with AJ Dybantsa. How are you feeling about the pick?
Real quick, Cam Boozer just went 3. So
okay, very cool.
Oh, that's good. That's good. No, I feel great about the pick. I mean, it was. I kind of expected that to be the pick, and I was hoping that would be the pick. And I think he's a great fit for what we're doing.
Yeah. Jahadi, can you see him averaging 20 points per game as a rookie?
I can because depends on what system we run. If we run something similar to last system, yeah, I can see him averaging 20 easily. Because I think he's going to be a focal point in the offense. And then now with Trey, and he's very athletic. So I think he's going to be the kind of guy who, if he's a rim runner, or if Sar is a rim runner and he can do a guard top, and he's the second guy down, we good. So, yeah, you got to understand the magic of Trey Young. And the magic of Trey Young,
the gravity that comes with him too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no disrespect to Rob Wright, his point guard at BYU, but I think Trey Young will open up a few more free looks for him than he got last year. In your mind, Jahadi, is this a potential? I don't know, is he the favorite for Rookie of the Year going into this, or do you need to see how the rest of this class kind of shakes out?
I do. In the end of the day, this is a great class. This is a great class with a lot of good top 5, top 10 is going to be amazing. And so it's going to be not only to where they land, not only is going to be to how good their teams do, the impact that they are able to make. Some can land in a situation where it's a good team that's already. But so my whole point is, it's a lot of factors going into that. I think he's going to be a vital piece on the Wizards team. You know, and I think the mission of the Wizards is going to they feel like they got most of their chess pieces in place.
Yep.
So it's going to be some sacrifices when you do that as well. So he may not be a rookie of the year, but he may be a long-term impact player for that season.
Kevin, can you see him being rookie of the year?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think they'll give him a lot of money. I think they're going to, a lot of playing time. I think that they will do some things to try to keep the pressure off him early, but they'll ramp up his responsibility, I think, as the season goes on. And I certainly think there's a lot of opportunity, especially on the offensive end. And usually rookie of the year goes to the rookie with the highest points per game. And he's got a really good chance of getting that.
I think especially if they play fast again, too. I think he's a guy that'll thrive in transition. I don't know if the AD pickup changes the tempo at all, but the way they've been running the last couple of years, I think that suits him.
I think, if anything, AD might help them speed up because
just for the rebound.
He's a great defender, rim protector, and he rebounds too. Yeah. And so if you get stops and get the ball, then you can get it out and you can run.
Loan Money is asking for a proposed starting lineup going in next year. To me, guys, I think Trae Young. I think AJ Dybantsa will start day one. I think Keyshawn George is a starter. And I think Sarr and Anthony Davis, assuming health, are all starters in a big jumbo lineup. What do you guys think?
I think that it's going to be, my opinion is I think there'll be a competition at that spot with Keyshawn George and Koulibaly.
Okay.
And that it'll be one of those two starting.
Yeah, I was going to say what you said, Matt, but I'm considering, that is a big lineup, and it's going to determine if we still need that much firepower. You got a firepower lineup, which is, we always think of offense first. But when you have a lot of good firepower, you're going to need some type of defensive prowess, like a Drew Holiday or something. And Bilal does offer that piece for us.
He would make up for some of the Trae Young experience, I think, a little bit, which is nice. Do you guys see any world where Trae Johnson competes for that other starting guard spot?
I don't. Not right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Toward mid-season, a lot of things can happen, and one thing's for sure. The thing is this: when you have a big, tall lineup like that, you're going to need a good 6-man, a good 7-man to still keep everything flowing, and most likely it'd be a kind of a different team. Why I do like what he was talking about, Bilal in that starting lineup is now if you can get Keyshawn George to come off in that second group, that's a lot of firepower in that second group to keep things just moving, keep the momentum going.
Yeah, I agree with Jahadi on that. I think Trae Johnson I think he'd be nice coming off the bench.
Microwave scorer for you.
He can get the buckets up. And Keyshawn, I think, is a very versatile and has a lot of dimension to his game, potentially at least. Needs to cut down on some of the mistakes and stuff. But coming off the bench, it's a little less pressing, because he'll be going against second units, that kind of stuff. And then, it'll be interesting to see who ends up closing games, because that's the kind of thing where you could end up with really different kind of closing lineups if you're trying to win than you start with.
I really like the idea of a second unit that is Bub Carrington, Trae Johnson, and Keyshawn George based. That is a lot of shooting and a lot of, optionality from a facilitation standpoint too. Like none of them are true creators, but all of them can do a little bit of it. Like that's dangerous. You could basically just hockey sub in a whole new lineup with those guys and still be pretty dangerous. So,
and you got to think about the rim protection too. So now you have AJ who can do really good at rim protection. You have Sarr who can be really good at rim protection. You have AD and you have And if you have Koulibaly, who's a great rim protector. So think about that, first of all. Now what you got to consider is switching 1 through 5. AD, he was
Be
good
great
at
at
it.
it.
Yeah, he's been great at it. And hopefully he still is. But if not, now you still need somebody because you got to consider you're going to have to hire Trey Young a little bit. So now you have to have a guy with just a really defensive mind. So it makes sense.
I like the way that especially if you start big, you start with Sarr and Davis together. I think those two are ultimately your centers. They start the game together. They'll start the second half together. They'll probably close together. But when you do that sub out at like 6 minutes in and you take AD off, then you're probably bringing in Keyshawn George, and your lineup really changes.
Yeah.
And the opposing team really has to probably match that, or at least it starts a chess game for the Wizards that might work out in their favor.
But now if you start in Sarr and you start in AD, who's going to come in at the backup 5?
Well, I think they kind of end up switching
staggering the two of them.
Staggering them, yeah.
So you take, say, AD comes off at 6 minutes, and then at 9 he comes back in, or 3 minutes later he comes back in. Sarr sits, and so then they end up playing like the last 6 minutes of the
finishing together. Yeah, makes
maybe
sense.
It'll be also interesting to see because there'll be probably a few minutes in there, 10, 12 a game for a third center. Maybe that's Vucevic, maybe it's somebody else that they're going to draft.
They would never do this, but I would pay them money to just one time put out Keyshawn George, AJ Dybantsa, Tristan Vucevic, Alex Sarr, and Anthony Davis. Just throw the biggest fucking lineup out there ever and just let's get weird with it. I just want to see them throw different combos out there, or 4 of those 5 at least would be fun to see.
That's like what Denver did in the preseason a few years back. When
started Valanciunas and Jokic, and like everybody.
Yeah, they had what was it, Jokic and I think DeAndre Jordan was playing, and then they had another they had 3 more centers, but it was like they had like 4 centers and a power forward, and Jokic was their point guard, and because everybody was hurt.
You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. So. Jahadi, any other thoughts on this or any of the other draft picks that have come up so far? Just to rattle off the board, Darren Peterson goes 2, Cam Boozer goes 3 to Memphis, Caleb Wilson has gone 4 to Chicago, and it appears Keaton Wagler is the pick to the Clippers at number 5.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that Keaton Wagler surprised me a little bit, not because he's not deserving. It was just it's just more players that were projected to go higher than him.
I was going to say, at least I thought that was the pick. I'm now apparently on a delay, and they showed him on the phone a second ago. I'm like, all right.
Okay.
I saw it pop up on ESPN, and that's my top 5, not in order, but that's the top 5 that I had.
Hey, there you go. We'll take that.
All right. So A-Cuff is still out there?
A-Cuff is still out there with Brooklyn on the board at number 6. Been some rumblings that maybe they would be willing to trade down with somebody like Milwaukee. Now that Milwaukee has 2 lottery picks, like maybe you could do a 2 for 1 here. I don't know. We'll see.
Does their draft strategy change at all with the deal they made to get Julius Randle?
Get Julius Randle for Brooklyn?
I don't think it would be. Yeah. I wouldn't. It wouldn't change if I don't think so.
Just draft anybody that is good at basketball if you're Brooklyn at this point, whether they're a point guard or I don't know.
Figure it out later.
Yeah.
With their coach, it seems like you don't even necessarily need to be good at basketball. He's a good coach.
Oh, we got point guard on your resume? Cool. We'll make it work somehow with 5 point guards on the court.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Darius, how do you feel about playing 5?
Exactly.
You just can't take the risk to leave him out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. They could just. I saw someone do they can't draft a point guard every time. Like if they're not the point guard, you can draft a point guard every time until you get one, and you figure it out with the other guys. So,
right.
Jahadi, I promised I'd only take a couple minutes of your evening here since we just did an hour together last night here. Any parting thoughts here before we let you get back and celebrate the AJ Dybantsa pick?
No. I'm glad for the Wizards. I'm glad for the pick, and I'm glad for the other picks as well. And because it's just a great draft, and sometimes it feels good just for the league to be able to have a great draft. I think it's needed.
There's a lot of just likable dudes coming into the league at once too. they keep coming up, and I don't know. This is how you know that they're like likable guys. My mom is texting me on the side going, "Oh, I really liked his interview. He seems nice." So
Yeah.
it's like when you get 5 of those in a row, it's like, all right, we're in pretty good shape here. So we'll see how it goes. Jahadi, thank you. I'm sure we'll do a deeper dive on this together here in the next handful of days, and we'll see how it goes.
All right. You guys enjoy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
All
Have a good night.
Cool. You too.
All right, Jahadi White, the only one on this panel, shockingly, this might surprise you about Kevin and I. Jahadi's the only one of us to have been drafted at any point. So, he can speak to this experience firsthand here. Kevin, any thoughts on any of the other picks thus far or what Brooklyn should do at number 6?
Let's see. For Brooklyn, I mean, my pick here would be Acuff. So the draft is gone, like I said, my top 5, Acuff is the next guy on the list. If I were Brooklyn, that would be my pick.
Let's say they do say we just can't stomach drafting another point guard, where do you go if you're them? Do you swing on a higher upside guy later rounds, one of the bigs? Like they just traded away Nick Claxton. Could you see a Daimara or one of those kind of guys? Merez even?
So if it was me, like if I'm going to take a big at this spot and I say I have to have a big, I'd take Merez Johnson.
Yeah.
Because I think he's the best of the Michigan guys. I think he's the best big man in the draft. I think he's, best 5.
Yep, I agree.
So, I will say it does seem like Brooklyn is really investing in trying to win, because if you just traded for Julius Randle, you've got a 31-year-old. Your window has gotten in smaller in terms of that.
It's a really good point too, and I do think the lottery odds being flattened are going to have some impacts on what kind of players, what kind of players are added to certain teams right now, because Brooklyn does not own their pick next year. So there's really no reason to be bad. So at least be good for a year and get your guys some valuable experience. Maybe try to make a little playoff push here just to see what you got. And, so maybe that'll work out in Adam Silver's favor here just a bit. WJM says Jameer Watkins gets better offensively. Yeah, I agree. Will Riley, we did not mention. He's another one that showed a lot of promise here longer term. Lone Money said we need to pick up some bigs badly. Nick Richard, Mitchell Robinson, any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's who we'll circle back to maybe if they do get a late first round pick of some guys they could add with some beef in the front court here as well. Let's see. Cameron Luthi says, or Jaden Hardy, Trey, Kai, Riley. But I mean, there are dudes on this team, Kevin, and like, I'm thinking of the best Wizards team of recent memory is that John Wall, Bradley Beal 2017 team. There was basically no bench. That was a 6-person, maybe 6.5-person team. This team is, it's got to prove that it can be that kind of team, but the depth is already better. And I think as you're trying to build out a team, I feel more confident in these guys playing minutes on a playoff push. If Bub Carrington is just your shooter with limited responsibility, like those kinds of things, I think are promising to me at least. Yeah,
I would characterize it a little differently. I would say that I think that the depth could be.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, guys have to keep developing, but like there's some options here. That team, there were no guys where I felt like, in the future here, like how good could they ultimately be?
Yeah. One of the things that can help guys is, to be honest, is having a bit of a reduced role, a little less responsibility. Like you say with Bub, if his job is to come in, knock down threes, move the ball, do a little bit of ball handling, but he had some issues with, handling the ball against pressure last year, that kind of stuff. He plays a little smaller than his, measured height would suggest that he doesn't exactly have that like explosive burst to get into the lane, but coming off the bench and making plays. So, hey, number 6 was Mikael Brown.
Ooh, I really like this. Again, if anyone who hasn't really seen him play, I would say go back and watch his FIBA tape, especially. Just an impressive dude at that level. And there's been all kinds of stuff at the high school level, at DME. The team didn't really win at the level that people wanted him to. And he kind of checked out. The rumblings behind the scene at Louisville this year were he was unhappy with his role and the talent they promised to be around him, and sort of the back stuff was a real thing, but he also like probably could have come back sooner and wasn't really willing to push through a back injury on like kind of a mediocre team, which I think we're going to see more of in this era of basketball too. Of like, this is a checkbox for guys like this to get to the league here, essentially.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin, bringing in an old podcast host of yours here, one of my favorites, Mr. Ben Becker. Ben, how's it going, man?
Hey now, gentlemen.
We got the gang back together again here.
Yeah, the NPR Wizards podcast is back
right.
together.
I love that. One of the all-time compliments, I think, I'm sure, is how it was intended, right?
Yes, indeed. If you are a washed nerd and you love DC basketball, we are the guys.
I love that.
We certainly took it that way
Yeah.
whether it was intended that way or not. We took it that way.
Ben, what'd you think of the pick?
I mean, I'm just so excited. I've been thinking just a lot about this lately. I turned 50 this year. The Wizards have never drafted a player with this kind of talent and upside. Sports is about we can dream, like the Wizards just drafted a guy who legitimately has the potential to be a Hall of Famer, who is just insanely talented. How this is all going to go, who knows? Life is unpredictable in a myriad of ways, but it's such a hopeful day, and it's also it's the culmination of an effort of getting to this point. That the team had to do a lot to get to this point, and also get lucky. For a franchise that that people used to joke, or as fans we felt like they were cursed. The stars finally aligned. They got the number 1 pick in a draft with superstars at the top. It feels good to win one.
It also feels like they successfully did something on purpose for a change. That's just so rare in our time as fans collectively here. We're like, totally. The plan was be bad for a star, and now it seems like, at least on paper, we got one.
Yeah. And be bad for a star while also along the way accumulating really interesting young talent, and like a lot of it. Like all of a sudden you look around and it's sort of like, oh, there's going to be a competition for minutes, and oh, by the way, 2 really good veterans who it's not. I'm very clear-eyed about the fact that this team won 17 games last year, and so it's like, yeah, they're not going to come in and win for a championship, but all of a sudden they're gonna have a lot of good players, which they haven't had in an incredibly long time. So it's fun. I'm looking forward to being in that building. What I tell people all the time is that if you're not from this region, you don't know how much of a basketball area this is. And I know that's something that you guys know, extremely well. Just like how much basketball is in the blood of this region, how much history there is to the game here, the incredible programs in high school and college, the people. It's just like, the way people partied in the streets when the Caps won, when the Nats won. I don't think anyone is who doesn't know this region is prepared for what this city and this region is going to be like when the Wizards are actually good, and that's coming, and I'm so fired up for that.
We're going to make that Knicks celebration look like a 1-year-old's birthday party in comparison. Like, we're going to be so much more hyped than they are. So
Hopefully
shots
less
fired.
violence, but
Yeah, whatever. I mean, maybe. I mean, let's see how it goes.
Look, yeah, don't limit us, Ben.
I don't want to yuck anybody's yum preemptively here.
Yeah.
Darius Acuff off the board to Sacramento while we've been chatting here as well. So, and he's looking awesome right now. Very cool chief.
Yeah.
And red sunglasses. Let's go. He's not messing around. Okay. Very cool. Fellas, I have seen a decent amount of like, are the Wizards now like a contender in the East kind of chatter here? What is a realistic expectation for Wizards fans in terms of where they could finish in the standings this year?
Kev?
I would say realistically, we're talking, what did Ted used to say? They'll contend for the playoffs.
There you go.
I don't think they're going to contend for, say, a top 4 seed. I don't think they're likely to be a top 6 seed, but I could see them certainly getting into the play-in and playing their way in. And when I say getting into the play-in, I don't mean like squeaking in for 10th. I'm talking about, they could get up 7th or 8th, I think. It's conceivable. I mean, the big thing will be, can Trae Young recover some of what he used to play like, go back 3-4 years when he was really good? And can Anthony Davis stay healthy? And when I say healthy, I mean, can you get 70 games out of him?
Yeah.
And if you're getting 70 games and you get reasonably good health and just the kind of standard development that you would expect for the age curve that these guys are on, then yeah, they could certainly be, a 7 seed and then, ramping up. And so that hopefully, Sar is ready to take off, and get a lot of these younger guys who are really ready to take off as Anthony Davis is getting ready to age out, that kind of stuff 2-3 years from now. So anyway, I think like 7-8 would be realistic.
I think that the range of possibilities is very wide, just because obviously the health factor with Young and Davis, and then there are so many young guys who could experience significant improvement, where it's sort of like, and frankly, one of the things that is going to happen when you have a lot of bites at the apple is that you're going to get situations where the Keyshawn George is going to end up looking like the better prospect than the Bub Carrington sometimes. There's a decent chance that that 1 or 2 of these guys is going to surprise us. So it's like, and then obviously, you don't know what happens in the rest of the conference, but I think Kevin's basically right. I think they're a play-in team. The one other thing that I really like about them having Davis and Young is both of them have been stars in the league. And I don't mean stars from a production standpoint. I actually mean they've been stars, sure, celebrities. And, you think
Anthony Davis has a TV show of all things. What are we doing here?
Well, and you think in contrast to when Wall was drafted and he was right away, it was you're the savior, red carpet, you're the savior. The vibes around the team were very different. And it's Dybantsa's clearly got star qualities about him. He's got incredible charisma, but right away, he doesn't have to come in and give every interview. And there are other guys who have been there, who have been in the limelight, who he can lean on and who can frankly step out front for him sometimes when this kid, because we're all old enough to really appreciate the fact that he is a kid, that when he needs a break, from some of this stuff. So I really like that. And
just on that real quick, Ben, the last time the Wizards had a star number 1 pick coming in, his mentor was a guy that shit in a teammate's shoe. I don't think we ever have to worry about that with Trae Young or Anthony Davis, but that's just a hunch.
Nobody ever asks what he did to deserve having shit put in his shoe.
The answer to is there ever a right amount that warrants that? I've never run into that scenario in real life.
Gilbert Arenas, there was a correct answer to that.
Yeah, exactly. Just catching up on the chat here real quick. Kevin Wilson says, wait, that was Jahadi White, like former Washington Wizard. Yes, sir. He is the permanent co-host of this show. So if you are newish to the program, he will be the other half of your screen on most nights here. Again, the only member of this panel to be drafted at any point. So love that. So yeah, we're just keeping it rolling here. Riley says, now the team is fun again. You all should do a weekly NPR Wizards pod. You got to bring it back, fellas. The fans are requesting it.
It's funny. Like, it's a government town. We're the nerdiest, in a certain type of nerdy, like we're the nerdiest city in the country. There's probably a market for it where we could do, a 10-minute Wizard segment a week that people could listen to on their lunch walk or whatever. But I mean,
tens of listens.
Yeah. But it's a fun night, and I don't know. Like now, it's gonna be an interesting off season, and it's fun to be out of the deconstruction phase, the let's be intentionally terrible phase, and let's see what we have and see who fits together. There's a lot of possibilities.
So Ben, when Matt and I did the mock draft a few days ago, I put this question to him: how far down in this draft would you go for the Wizards to trade unprotected first next year to get that pick? So obviously, if we were sitting here, 7:55 p.m. Eastern, obviously you would trade next year's number 1 unprotected for number 2, 4, 5.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, of course, I'm gonna be overly analytical. So the first thing is like, I don't know. I'm not a draftnik, but I certainly know what I've been told in terms of like one of the reasons that people loaded up this year is because this year was special and next year is not considered to be. This is where I would definitely lean on you guys. With your scouting acumen, with your statistical model, and some of our other friends in the Wizards Twitter scouting community, because I mean, just it stands to reason that there are some really good players who are going to be taken in the teens here, if the Wizards finish where we expect them to, they're probably going to be picking in the teens next year. So, I could see good arguments. And then there's also like, there's a little bit of a roster crunch right now. Like it's not a real roster crunch, but there's also a, at some point, like, you have to ask yourself tough questions about adding additional guys who need minutes, So
that's why I doubt they make 2 second-round picks this year as well.
Yeah, I agree.
I would be willing to. It depends on where, of course, it is and who's available. But for example, if I could trade in and come away with like a Merez Johnson or something like that, I would do that in a second, because I think I was saying we've got in this year's draft, according to Yoda anyway, we got 12 guys who have grades consistent with being a top 5 pick in most drafts.
Wow.
And so, and then there's a bit of a drop off. You do hit a point where there's a pretty steep drop off, but that's like pick 20 or so. So I would be.
Yeah, no. Someone asked me today if I would trade Anthony Davis to Golden State for Jimmy Butler's expiring contract, the number 11 pick, and taking the protections off the pick that they owe us, as part of the Jordan Poole trade. And I said, yeah, probably I would,
why would they do that? I think is the question.
Yeah. Well, no, they would do that because Jimmy Butler's not going to play this year. And because the odds are that Anthony Davis is going to be in the short term a lot more productive than the number 11 pick. So it's sort of like different timelines, different incentives. Also, you would think that if they were going to do that, they would have done something like that by now. So, so yeah, I mean, but, and I mean, I was thinking about this earlier today. Like, I understand the health risks with Anthony Davis. And also, like, it wasn't that, like, this trade to Dallas from LA wasn't that long ago. And in that, in that first half before he got traded, in his first game where he was just an absolute monster. And it's like, even at his age, given who he is as a player, if he is healthy, he's the best Wizards big man since, like, at least Chris Webber.
Walt Bellamy. Yeah.
He's better than Chris Webber. Yeah.
Right? Like,
since West, at least.
Yeah. I mean, this is like, he was, I think he was all NBA. He was maybe made an all NBA team like 2 seasons ago, or maybe it was 3 seasons ago.
We're talking about a guy that will be in the Hall of Fame. Like, that doesn't end up in Washington very often.
Yeah. And he's he's 33. He's not 38. And so it's sort of like, yeah, so it's just like, given the years and years that we've watched, of what we've collectively watched, it is still, it's kind of wild to have all of this happening at once, right? To have, like, the Dybantsa coming in, to have Anthony Davis here, like, it's wild, and I think it's going to be extremely fun.
So Anthony Davis, by the way, he was second team All NBA in 2024. So
okay.
Not too long ago in terms of NBA recent memory.
He was what, 5th in all defense voting that year. So,
and he's had a lot of rest since then.
There you go.
Should come in fresh.
Ben, as you are a man about town with things to do, definitely not go to bed here anytime in the near future. I promise not to keep you super long, but thank you for coming on and giving us your thoughts. And thanks for always just being a good hang on Wizards Twitter. I appreciate that.
So everybody, great to talk to you guys. Matt, you got to come shoot around in my driveway soon.
Let's do it, man. If you ever want to run some pickup, we got room for you anytime.
I don't want to hurt myself, so you can come shoot around in my driveway.
There you go. I was gonna say, this is mostly at least a 35+ crowd too, so you'll be among like-minded individuals, but I would love to do that. So Ben, thank you. Treat as always to get the band back together again here. So you guys got to bring it back at least once this upcoming season for the fans.
You got it. Enjoy the night.
You too, man.
I'll see you.
Good seeing you.
All right, everybody. That was Ben Becker. I appreciate Ben for coming on here. I told him I would get him first up on the docket here, so we didn't keep him all night. So I appreciate him for jumping on. We're going to go someone just a tiny bit younger than Ben. No disrespect. He's younger than most of the people covering this team, but does an amazing job here. How's that for an intro? Got Mr. Greg Finberg, another member of the Bullets Forever crew. Greg, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. Obviously, I've been a pretty big proponent of selecting Dybantsa throughout the whole process. They ended up doing it. It just kind of made sense. Like, when you think about what Will Dawkins and Michael Winger in this front office have looked at, it's guys that can score the basketball, but also guys that project to be able to play multiple positions, that have the size and the positional versatility to move around the floor. And that just pretty easily was Dybantsa. And it's no hate on Darren Peterson, who would probably go number 1 in most other drafts. He's incredible. Cameron Boozer, I know, Kevin, you're a big proponent. I mean, he's probably going to be one of the best prospects we've seen in years. Yeah. But everything just kind of aligned in terms of, you don't draft for fit at number 1, but with AJ being as good as he is and fitting as perfectly into that mold that the Wizards really like envy, everything just kind of aligned and it made sense. So I think it's a tremendous pick. I would have taken Dybantsa 1. I think he slots in very well to this young core, and we'll see how it all unfolds in the next couple of years.
Yeah, totally agree.
I mean, I've said it before. I have 4 guys that I had rated as being worth the number 1 pick, and they picked one of them, so they got that going for them.
Well,
Bryce Johnson, by the way, just went 9 to Dallas.
Yeah, with his college coach, Dusty May, decides to take the job, and a day later he gets Merez Johnson. I wonder if that was a condition of the move of like, you got to take one of my guys here. The other rumored person for this job who apparently turned it down was Duke's John Shire. So he turned down a chance to play or to coach Cooper Flagg again, whereas Dusty May leaned into having one of his teammates.
Yeah, but Morez Johnson was probably like, man, I was trying to get away from that, man.
They love Dusty. He's a kind-hearted, love you coach, the new generation. So that should be
nice.
Pretty good there. Also, while we were talking, Kingston Flemings went in the pick just prior to that here as well. So I don't know, Greg, any other thoughts here so far, or reactions, or things you're looking to see? Like I posed this on Twitter a second ago. Do you think there's a likelihood that they trade back in for another pick?
I've explored that. Again, like I'm sure they want to. Like this draft class is incredible. You know, of all people, you cover the college game pretty extensively. And in terms of like college dominated classes, this is one of the best we've seen. It's very deep. There's a lot of really good talent at the back end of the lottery, but also talent in the latter end of the first round. So I don't doubt that they are looking to get it. But when you look at the assets they have that Portland pick, I think in 29 from that Denny trade, but every other first they have is their own. I doubt they want to give up any of those to move back into this draft. And they have a bunch of second round picks. They have 51 and 60 this year. They have a bunch of seconds in the future. Is that enough to get back into the first round? I don't know. Like I don't think second round picks are worthless, but I also don't think their value is as high as, oh, you can just trade 2 or 3 and jump up 30 spots. Like it's going to take a lot. And so asset wise, I don't know. Like Justin Champagny is someone that's been floated as a really cheap player that's incredible and can give you that production at really good value. And maybe an OKC team that's competing with the cap says, hey, instead of 17, we just would prefer to save a little money and get this guy who's under contract for $2 to $3 million for the next 2 or 3 years. Maybe that's the move that Washington makes. I don't know if they should. I mean, he's incredible, right? He's been awesome the last couple of years. So like that's probably what it would cost. And you got to weigh the variables. If they do it, clearly there's someone there that they really want to scoop up. They did with Bob Carrington, where they were like, hey, we really need to have this 14th pick in this package to target him if we're moving Denny. So I think they certainly want to, but like, I don't know if they have the assets to move up or are willing to part with what it takes. And nor do I think teams could really give up a first in this draft for, a couple seconds.
I wouldn't break the bank to do it, but we've seen this front office is willing to go get their guy if they see him. So if there's someone on the board they like by, somewhere in the late teens here or something, we know they're at least making the calls to see if that's possible.
So Greg, I've been putting this question to everybody, but how far down would you go to just give up next year's pick unprotected?
Like a Pelicans thing last year.
Yeah. Except this year,
maybe not 2 picks.
Trading from a bad draft into a good draft.
True.
Yeah. Again, I think. I mean, it would have to be a lottery pick certainly, and the more picks that go on, I think Dallas or Milwaukee's about to pick. So there's 4 spots left. If you were to give up that unprotected pick next year, I mean, that's a lot. Number one, a lot of trust in this team to compete enough, because the lottery reform, it's like people now more than ever don't want to trade their first round picks. Even if you're in the play-in next year, you still, I think, have the same or better odds than the bottom 3 teams because of the new system. So it's a bad draft, but I think the pick might even be more valuable considering you could finish the 8th, 9th, 10th seed in the East, not make the playoffs, and still have a good chance of getting the first pick. So I think if you're Washington, I wouldn't consider it. I think you have a really good roster. You have a really good core. I mean, you're looking at right now, is Will Riley a part of the rotation? If you keep Champagny, can you find a spot because they're all amazing players, but you have 10, 11, 12 guys, you're not even thinking about Jamir Watkins or Cam Whitmore that you could realistically play. And someone isn't going to play. And so if you're trading that pick, you're taking another guy out of that rotation. It kind of becomes a little too much. And I just don't think it needs to happen. And if it does, then clearly, like we talked about, the value of that pick being so high, you have to know how good that player is. Like if they think Adey Mara is there on the board and they think he's going to be better than anyone they can get in next year's draft and gives them a good backup behind Sarr, and when AD leaves a good counter to that, then like, sure, go for it. But it's risky. And I don't think that's a move that I would make right now.
Yeah, totally agree. Catching up here on the chat a little bit. We got OBJ checking in, my guy. Appreciate that. Tom Solomon, our guy Tommy, they successfully did something on purpose. That was a quote from me earlier. Write that one down. That might be the new bumper sticker for us. Tommy. We can keep this rolling here a little bit. Kevin Wilson said, I'm hoping to come home from work this year and actually crack open a beer and say, hey, I'm going to watch my Wizards compete. Maybe some less yelling. Love that for us. Not yelling at the TV would be a welcome change here as well. Drop your comments, questions for anybody we bring on the show here in the chat, and I will make sure to funnel them to the guys as they come on here.
I'm laughing like, oh, this is fun, rather than, oh my God, I can't believe somebody just did that.
Yeah. Oh, we're dreading the whole thing throughout. Yeah. Braden Burries just goes to Milwaukee with the 10th pick here. So interesting change of direction there too. They're going to have some firepower here. Burries will come in and score a lot as a freshman. Put him next to Tyler Hero. They might not guard anybody this year, but that's okay. Defense is overrated. Greg, anything else? Any other thoughts you got here on the pick? What are you going to do for the rest of the night to celebrate? You are an actual young man like the rest of us. You could consumably still go out after this. So what are the plans?
I could. I hate that. My happy place is right here talking to you guys and watching the draft. I wouldn't ask for anything more. I don't know. I might host a Twitter Spaces later, but I mean, again, like this is just such a cool night for the Wizards. I know you guys remember 2010. You mentioned how young I am. I was, I think, 6 at the time. So I kind of remember it. I know my dad told me it was a really big deal that they were getting the first pick and how good John Wall was. It turns out he was right because John was phenomenal. It's also cool to see John, like he was at the Wizards draft party. He just narrated a video for them in introducing the new number 1 pick. So it's always kind of cool to see that. But I mentioned this multiple times. I'm very excited for the fan base because, like, Matt, you know it, Kevin, you know it. Like, we've covered this team for years, and they haven't been the funnest years. I don't even know that's a word, but like, it should be pretty fun this year. Like, there should be crowds, there should be expectations, there should be some sort of atmosphere around the team at the games, and that's really exciting. And I think AJ Dybantsa is going to be incredible. I mean, some cool dunks, obviously, but like on-court production, I think he's going to be pretty sick. And I think he fits really well into this core. You guys, I know you were talking before I came on about like the fit in terms of who starts. I don't know who starts. I'm not a coach, but I know it's a good problem to have 7 or 8 guys that are competing for starting spots. When you were like the last couple of years, you're thinking, well, is Danilo Gallinari starting at the 4?
There's no Isak Bongas this year. No offense, Isak. Sorry about
We're not worried about the Onses Passes Sneaks or the Jared Uthoffs of the world. Like, this is actually going to be a good team, and I'm excited for you guys to be able to cover some good basketball, myself included, and the fan base as well. So it should be pretty fun.
With that, I genuinely was going to quit doing this. I had just, like I said this on the show, people thought I was joking. Like, I was just like beaten down by this. And like, we were just so mean and negative to each other as a fan base too. And like every comment on the show was like, of course they should start Champagny dipshit, or, you know what, whoever their favorite guy was. And I'm like, God, I don't think I could do another year of this while we win like 14 games or whatever. But I don't know, man. Like, this comes at the right time. I felt like we needed a little good mojo here, and we finally got it here as well. Greg, you are welcome to hang out for as long as you want. I'm not running you off here. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I'm going to bring Will Clayton in here as well. You can stay as long as you would like, and we can hang. Or if you need to drop off at some point, you are also welcome to do that.
I'll go ahead and cede the floor to Will. Will and I had a good conversation last night. We were on the same page talking about the Trae Young stuff.
There you go.
Me and Will are always on the same page, but always nice to talk to you, Matt and Kevin.
Ball knowers.
Very excited to hear what you have to say, Will, and appreciate you guys.
Greg, before you drop, for anybody, I can't imagine they are listening to this, does not already follow what you do, but please tell them where they can find all the great stuff you do.
I appreciate it, Matt. The Wizards podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. That's where you can get the pods. I just did one on AJ a couple minutes ago, but also on Twitter at Greg Finberg. And then from all 3 of us, Bullets Forever. It's the best place to get your Wizards news. We already have a story up on AJ. I'm sure Kevin's going to do a deep analytical dive into AJ that I'm excited for, and that all the people listening should read. So that's where you can find me, but you're the best, Matt. You too, Kevin. You too, Will. And thanks for having me on, Matt.
All right. Have fun, buddy. Thanks for coming on. Thanks. Appreciate you. All right. Next up here in the panel of Wizards expertise, my guy, Will Clayton. Will, how's it going?
I'm happy to be in the panel.
There you go.
It's going well.
You're up on the dais, whatever bullshit term I can come up with.
Yeah,
it all sound like we know what we're talking about.
What sort of gravitas and panache we can give ourselves.
Yeah, I love that. There you go.
But yeah, no, thanks for having me on. Appreciate the kind words from Greg. Kevin, good to see you, man. Yeah, I mean, Kevin said it earlier, like it's just fun now. Like, this is great. Like, I've been waiting to be back at this stage as a fan for so long, and like being at the top of the draft, and then once you hear AJ's name announced, I literally cracked my beer, and I've been sitting here and enjoying it and watching the draft go on and just reading commentary and scrolling Twitter and catching videos, and it's nice. Like, especially coming from Greg mentioned it yesterday, like there was a lot of sky is falling stuff after the Trey extension, which I'm not saying I don't understand it. I'm just saying I think everyone getting a little over their skis on that one.
I had an hour and 45 minutes of that. So hand up, accountability time. I needed to kind of work through that emotionally for a bit too.
I get it. Like, it's a lot of money. Like, it's a lot of money. But like, when you pay guys lots of money, it's usually like it's a problem when you have to pay other guys, and we don't have to do that for the foreseeable future. It could be a problem in 3 or 4 years, but that's for the future. I'm going to have a good time for the next 1-2 years at least.
Hell yeah. I love that.
I guess ultimately that's a Ted Leonsis and ownership group problem. If the team gets to the point where you've got to go max on Sarr and you've got to go max on Dybantsa and you've got to go, fine.
Well, and also like that's a good problem to have. Like, if we're really
too many good players, you have to pay.
Like, oh, we have so many guys we have to pay. Great. Like last time we were arguing about, are we really going to give Kyle Kuzma this much money?
Is Kispert going to get an extension? Question mark.
No, it's you gotta look at the glass half full, especially when we've been in a glass that's just sitting with like dirty water in it. That's I don't know,
like reflecting cool water. I don't know. It's just sorry, topical local here. Lone Money says, how hard do you think we are calling OKC for pick number 12? Probably a little too rich for our blood, I would imagine personally.
Yeah. The conversation around trading back in for the pick, I've always seen Champagny floated as a guy that would maybe be the conduit for something like that. And while I think that makes sense, because from like a timeline standpoint, my whole deal on that is like, you get a rookie contract and you get 4 more years of control, and that's super appealing. The thing is, are you getting a player that's as good as what you're giving up? And Champagny's value, I don't know that in that 12 to 17 range, it's a lot bigger of a gamble to get someone that you can kind of set your watch to. Like, Champagny is a role player that you can not necessarily scale up, but you feel comfortable getting 30 minutes a game. Like, you wouldn't really look the other way about that. Whereas you kind of roll the dice on resetting the clock and getting a younger guy. And I think Greg touched on it earlier. We're going to have a consolidation trade eventually, and there's only so many bodies that we can continue to develop. I think the wheat is going to separate from the chaff eventually, and we're going to know here's who we're investing in, and here's like, sorry, you might get thrown in, or you're going to be on the back end of the rotation. But yeah, I think it's too rich too.
I don't know. If it depends on the price. So if I'm the Wizards, right, and OKC says, give me your unprotected first next year for this pick, I would do it.
Yeah.
And I would probably pick somebody like LeBaron Filan. So
Yaxel just goes to Golden State at 11 with a guy with some upside, but also because he's like 41 years old coming in as a rookie, he'll be able to help them compete now. And that's nice to extend the Steph Curry window a little bit longer, maybe.
And okay, as long as we're just getting totally crazy, I'm not quite as enamored, I guess, with everyone as Greg was in terms of depth and all that. But what if you could do something like next year's first and Champagny for 12 and 17, and then you pick somebody like Filan and then Trevon Brazil?
I don't hate it in terms like a value trade off, but like. It's more, that's just one of those things where like, do we really want to be in a position where we're adding more young people to a team where, what do we have, like 9-10 rookie contracts right now? So, and that's more so where like, if we're paying Trey this kind of money, we always do this thing as Wizards fans historically where we overrate our guys and we try and slot them into higher positions.
No, come on.
Yeah, no, we've never done it. But
speaking of overrating guys, they've got Anthony Gill, the team dad. It's Keyshawn George.
He just will never die, man.
He's the MVP D.
He's like the house cat for the team. Like he's just around the facility that gives us good vibes.
He's bringing the orange slices and all the important stuff you need from a team mom. And that's
all due respect to Anthony, because I had a chat with him after a game. He's a really nice guy, but yeah, like when you sign Trey to this kind of extension, you get the benefit of having a competent floor general that ideally raises the floor for your other pieces. And then you get a better eval on what they're going to look like with that kind of player. So it helps you determine who you can actually pay. But like, I think adding more young bodies to that equation makes the job harder to play competitive basketball, because you have to balance more things in terms of developing guys and when to win. And then the trade-off there is if you're not going to develop the guys and you focus on winning, then you wasted adding young guys. So I think for that reason, because I really wanted them to trade back in and add a new another first rounder, because it's just exciting. But like pragmatically, I don't know that it makes a ton of sense for us.
So I if anything, fall on the other side of perhaps undervaluing guys that the Wizards have. And so
relative to the fan base, maybe not relative.
I gotta just throw it out there. I think that they've got to put they with AD, Trey, Keyshawn, Koulibaly, Sarr is obviously, I think he's going to be really good. I think Dybantsa is going to be really good, but I think that's like a solid 4. And then like Keyshawn could go either way. Like if he doesn't fix the mistakes and that kind of stuff, he's probably unplayable in competitive games down, late. If Koulibaly doesn't pick up on offense, he becomes a defensive specialist if you keep him around, right? And then you got like Bub. He's got to do a lot of improving in a lot of areas. He can shoot it, but he's got to improve in a lot of areas, right? And so Champagnie, is he a 25-minute a game guy? Is he a valuable, forward reserve? Or is he, a 30% three-point shooter who is a bit of a hothead, And then you go on down there like Will Riley. Analytically, he wasn't quite as impressive when I looked at it and analyzed that like end of the season stretch where he was supposed to be great. And so I'm just saying, I'm not as convinced that the Wizards are as set roster wise in terms of talent as they need to be. And often the history of teams like this is you collect all these young guys and it seems like you've got your core. And then when you actually get good, you actually end up trading a lot of those guys or replacing them with other guys. You kind of get like a starter kit of players and assets, and then you make moves and you kind of rebuild the roster on the fly, kind of piecing together what you need. And so I'm just saying I wouldn't be opposed to, in fact, I'd be kind of in favor of them continuing to be aggressive in collecting talent and then letting them compete and fight it out for who gets minutes.
I do think it's nice to have multiple irons in the fire, because someone's growth will stagnate, or somebody will go south somewhere, or someone will want out because they're not getting the role between now and then. But I do think there's also is like sort of a tipping point of like, do you really want 12 guys under 23 on the same roster while you also like have these expectations of wanting to win games? And that's, whether that's a good objective or not, I think is a different discussion. But if the expectation from ownership is going to be win me games and sell me tickets and justify this guy making $54 million a year next to you, it's just harder to do with, a bunch of second and third year guys, I think, too.
So this topic that we're discussing right now got me yelled at by Hubie Brown in the Atlanta Hawks locker room. The visitors locker room, he was coach of the Memphis Grizzlies. And the question that I asked Hubie was, the Grizzlies that year were going to win 50 games. They were on pace to win 50. They did win 50 with Hubie as the coach. And the Wizards were going to win, I think they ended up winning like 19 games that year. Maybe it was 20. But the Wizards were really terrible. And the reason the Wizards were terrible was because they were so young. And Memphis had the same average age, minutes weighted, right? And so the question I put to Hubie was, well, why are you guys good and the Wizards stink when you guys are the same age? And Hubie thought that I was asking the question to get him to criticize the Wizards and then headline it. But that's not. I was genuinely curious what his answer was going to be. But so to me, I say collect the talent and then let them sort it out on the court.
Fight to the death if you need to.
I don't hate that. Like stance. Like, and for the most part, I think I identify with that a lot. I think it's more so with that balance that Matt was talking about. Like if we're in jump season, which is what they're, billing this as, how many guys can jump? Like, and if we are jumping from being in a 3-year like tanking window to now, okay, we're trying to be a little bit more serious. Totally agree. I have multiple irons in the fire. Keep that kind of conveyor belt of like reloading young talent and going, like that's what OKC does. And they're very good at always having people on the back burner, people like waiting in the wings. I love that concept. I just don't know if maybe 2 first-rounders this year, especially when we're adding our centerpiece in AJ. I don't know if that's the right focus, but I don't. I'm not saying you on that. Like, 3. Okay, well, I disagree with 3, but yeah, you did say 12 and 17. That's right. Yeah, like I don't hate it, and I mean, ultimately, I think there's a world where you can do that and it still works. I just think it puts a lot more strain on a lot of the incoming younger guys to like find their role in a established kind of pecking order, so to speak. And then it puts even more strain on Brian Keefe, who we're actually asking to be like, hey, we need you to be serious and start winning games. But also these 3 new guys that we're bringing in, let's see some promise out of that.
So it's a little bit just to, support your point is one of the challenges that young players often have is that fitting into a role. This is a tidbit I had dinner with Jerry Krause one day back in the day when he was
You're just name dropping all over the place here, like, KB. Come on. This one time Michael Jordan and I were playing horse out front. But
no, the Wizards, they used to have in the press room, they used to have a spread. I don't know whether they still do or not, but they had a spread for.
There's a thing of loose pretzels that's there for the course of the season.
Oh, no, they had like good food. And so anyway, you'd go in there, you'd have dinner and stuff like that. So I walk in and, the usual crowd is milling around and sitting at the tables eating and stuff. I'm trying to find a seat and I see this like table that's all empty except for this one guy eating, and it's Jerry Krause. And so I was like, I'm not going to have too many chances to sit down and have dinner with a general manager of a team. So I asked him if I could sit. He said yes. And we had a nice chat. But one of the things he talked about was that one of the keys for Chicago and of getting that championship was to not overinvest in young players, because young players still think they're going to be stars. And what they needed to do was get in some of these veterans who understood that the being an NBA star, scoring 20 points per game, that kind of stuff wasn't in the cards for them. But what they could do was come in and hit open shots and move the ball and play defense and fill a role. And so do a job that needed to get done for the team. And so that's how his theory was on how to build the team. And he had some other great theories too. So,
I mean, I think that makes sense. And I think you see that identified and kind of proof of concept in that through a lot of championship teams. Like you can't just trot out look what happened to the Spurs. Like they were one of the best defenses, and you have a guy as dominant as Wemby can be. And they made so many mistakes, and they gave up every lead possible throughout the finals. Like that's the kind of stuff that seasoned teams and veterans typically you don't see from them unless it's Wes Unseld Jr. But that's okay. That's neither here nor there.
Fucking Clippers, man. Sorry, I just you had to go there. This is a good night. It's a happy night. Come on.
We're in a happy place. I shouldn't have invoked the ghost of Woj.
All along the same lines here, just a couple comments in the chat. Ryan Moy says, it's been 30 years. I'm over here elated. It all began for me with C-Web, for Mitch Richmond, and Otis Thorpe. Now we're here. This is fun. It's been a journey. Well said, Ryan. There you go.
You, Ryan.
That's right.
You.
I like it. That is
wild. Is that might not even be the worst trade in guy's history.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Well, that's what, that was one of the things I thought about when people were like, I think Windhorst said that Trae Young was the worst contract in like NBA history, and they couldn't move it without attaching first overall. One, crazy hyperbole and overreaction, but I guess I expect it. But two, we've had 5 worse contracts than that since like the mid 2000s. Like, I don't know what we're talking about here.
It's at worst our 4th worst point guard contract this year.
Like, seriously.
So I wrote when they made the trade for Trae Young. I wrote that it's a little bit like the Wizards started off. You know that what was it? Craigslist story where the guy starts off with like a red novelty paper clip, and he does a series of trades and ends up with a house, right? Yeah. And so I said for the Wizards, it's like they started with Bradley Beal, your red novelty paper clip, and then they made a whole series of trades and ended up with Trae Young, who's like a blue novelty paper clip. And now they've given him the max contract, and so they're kind of, I feel like they've gone full circle.
I think I was the one that tweeted that when we got Trae. I was like, "Oh my God, we did the red paperclip thing with Bradley Beal." I think you rained on that parade. You were like, "No, this is just another paperclip."
Yeah, it's exactly. It's like they got the same thing back.
There is some Spider-Man meme vibes at times with some of these moves, but that's okay.
Yeah,
Christian Gardner also threw in a nice comment here. Believe in Wizards draft day coverage. Always the Avengers endgame of Wizards Twitter. So glad we got a real team to cheer for now. There are a lot of just fun people that pour a lot of time and energy into this team and have managed to do it despite the team largely being dog shit over their time doing it. So I'm just excited for all parties involved here to have fun basketball to talk about.
Likewise. It's a good era to be going into for us.
Will, if somebody is watching this and they are not familiar with your insights on the team, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Dub Clayton now. And recently I have forayed into making some TikToks, which I usually it's a video I'll post on my Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm not doing much with it, but you can find me there.
Okay.
Maybe we'll start seeing, I'm just going to do funny things or maybe breakdowns or anything. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm trying to, get with the times and get motion and aura and all that shit. So
if you want to multi-purpose the content and put them here on the channel as shorts or something too, man, just get a few extra eyes on them. We'd be happy to have you.
I will
work my way up to MySpace.
You say MySpace?
Yeah.
Kevin, I'll put you in my top 6.
There you go. Will, thank you, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for popping on. Everybody go follow Will and enjoy the TikToks. But what's the TikTok handle? Is it also Dub Clayton?
It's also Dub Clayton with an underscore at the end because I guess somebody already had that. So.
All right. There's another Dub Clayton out
someone's
there.
Impersonating me. Don't follow them.
All right. Will, thanks, man. Enjoy the night. Have fun. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good one.
Good talking to you, man.
All right, we will keep this bad boy rolling here as well. If you are following along with this, we are also still doing our fundraiser for Animal Allies Rescue Foundation. The link is in the description of this episode. I've also dropped it in the chat a few times and will do so now. It's money for a good cause. So we're in the good giving spirit as Wizards fans here. So let's keep that one rolling here as well. Riley Seelig said, Kevin Cook. This is from a few minutes ago, so I do not remember what that was about.
I saw it come in, and this is when I was talking about the Wizards trading for 2 more picks.
There you go. I like that too. Lone Money said San Antonio did it with guys who are 2nd and 3rd year guys. That is also true. Tom Solomon said that OKC got its Wemby killer. They did draft Adai Mara since the last time we updated on the picks. Let me run back through those real quick. Wizards obviously take AJ Dybantsa. Jazz take Darren Peterson. Grizzlies, Cam Boozer. Bulls, Caleb Wilson. Clippers, Keaton Wagler. Nets, Michael Brown Jr. Kings, Darius Acuff. Hawks, Kingston Flemings. Mavericks, Morez Johnson Jr. Bucks, Braden Burries. Golden State Warriors, Yaxel Lendenborg. Thunder, Adai Mara. So that is the Michigan Wolverines go 9, 10, and 12 in this draft. Dude, no wonder they won an NBA champion or an NCAA championship. Maybe they'll all someday win an NBA championship too.
9, 11, and 12. Yeah, and actually in the order that I had them too. So.
Hey, there you go. I think I had Mara 1 pick ahead of Yaxel for what it's worth, but all within a couple picks of each other too. DMV's own Nate Ament goes to Miami, which seems to be routed to Milwaukee. There was a lot of reported interest in Milwaukee taking Nate Ament this entire time. So they got him at 13 instead of 10. They add him to Burries. 2 talented guys who project as, athletic, long, rangy scorers. This is the kind of guy that Milwaukee's front office has historically just valued. I'm not saying he's Giannis, but it's like a young toolsy guy who's raw and that sort of thing. And they're willing to take the shot on upside there too. So there you go. Let's see. Cordero 007 said rainbow face. Not sure I follow that one, but okay. That might have been from a previous comment. Andy Lauer, Commercial Real Estate, said, can you all focus on potential Wizards trading back into the draft? Why am I here? That's really fun and productive, Andy Lauer, Commercial Real Estate. It's a terrible time to be in commercial real estate. So sorry, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Don't be a Debbie Downer. Why are we here? Wizards, not anything else. Can you please go back, Wizards? Can you please get grammar lessons? I don't know, man. Don't be rude. Like, you don't have to be here. We're here having fun. Don't yuck our yum. I'm going to keep saying that phrase because, I don't know, it's like the most generic thing I can think of. Kevin, who is next available on your board here?
So let's see. Next available, I've got Alan Graves from Santa Clara.
Okay.
He was 7th overall on my stuff. So I think he's got a chance to be pretty good. He's slow, but he's very productive at Santa Clara. So, and then others that I really like LeBaron Filan, Sergio De La Rey, another guy that I'm much higher on than I think consensus. The only person I've heard who's got De La Rey as high as I do is John Hollinger. So.
Okay. You guys have been locked in before, so I like that. Ryan Oliver in the chat here, best fit to start at the 2 next season. He said he'd lock in Keyshawn. We talked about this a little bit earlier. I would do the same thing, whether he's the 2 or Dybantsa's the 2 and one of them's the 3. Either way, I would roll them both out there. To me, I would just kind of go best 5 and put, like, if you're not going to be good defensively, just be big at least as a team. And it's as big as you could be as a starting 5 with Trae Young in it, I think, with those guys out there.
Yeah. I would not lock in on anybody. I would have competition, and I would go into it with an eye of probably either Koulibaly or Keyshawn George in that as that other starter. But I wouldn't pencil anybody in at this point. I would leave that more of an open deal. I would even leave open the possibility that Dybantsa comes off the bench to start the season. I wouldn't mind. I thought that, for example, with the year the Wizards drafted Avdia, that they might have been better off bringing him along a little more slowly, because it feels like, especially if you get a young guy, number one, if they start struggling, then you take them out of the lineup. It feels like a benching. It feels punitive, versus if the guy's struggling and he's already coming off the bench, big deal. You just keep him up coming off the bench for a while longer. And if he's doing really well, then you can promote him. And you can kind of start moving him back and forth as a starter, and you can play a little bit more with his role and ramping up responsibility and that kind of stuff. And so I wouldn't necessarily lock on Dybantsa as a starter. That said, my expectation would be that if they have an open competition, Dybantsa probably wins the job as a starter in a 30+ minute per game player as a rookie. And then George and Koulibaly are probably the 2 fighting it out for that other starting spot, because obviously they're going to start Sarr, they're going to start Davis, they're going to start Trae Young. And so I think there's kind of like 3 guys for 2 spots, if you will, in the starting lineup.
I like that too. All right, bringing in the next member of our crew here. We got Jam Hines from No Ceilings NBA. If you like the NBA draft, there is literally no better place to follow it on the internet. Just a ton of dudes with a lot of insight. Everybody has their own kind of lane and niche about it too, which I think is really awesome. But Jam, you are here in the DMV. You are one of us. So yes. You also do a great job. This is Kevin, Jam. I don't know if you guys are familiar with each other, but now you are. So I don't know, man. You're not like a Wizards cover solely here, even though I see you at a ton of different DMV basketball events. What do you think about the pick as an objective, follower or cover of the draft?
Well, first of all, thank you all so much for having me. Of
course.
Huge fan of the work that y'all do. And like you said, Matt, I see you at a bunch of games all the time. Like, just the coverage you give to the area, boots on the ground, just absolutely incredible. And the city, man, of course, city is absolutely excited. Of course, they should be, getting AJ Dybantsa to come here to DC. And it's kind of I think it's a very interesting time for Wizards fans. Like, we've gone through so much, of course, year after year. Yep. And then, of course, the stories the past couple of years being one ping pong ball away from getting Cooper Flag and Victor Wembanyama, kind of that heartbreak there. And now, we get AJ here in the district, and it's a team that really is ready to compete for a playoff spot, not just to play in, but I think really a playoff spot. And AJ is going to be a large factor to that, not just in, of course, the long term, but the short term as well. He's somebody that can come in and boost the team on both ends of the floor, especially offensively, with his ability to pressure the rim, create his own shots, and draw the defense at 6'9".
Any question marks you have about his game or that potential fit with anybody else on the roster? How do you see he and Trae Young working together?
I think it's going to be a great pairing. I can certainly see them working two-man games with AJ setting screen, rolling, popping, be able to make plays out of that short roll and kind of get him different ways to impact the game and make the game easier for him. And I think that's a big reason why Trae Young, I know there's lots of uproar about the contract that he signs, and I get it. But I think by this point, Winger and Dawkins should get that trust for how they've executed the rebuild so far. And having a guy like Trae is going to make the game easier for Darren, continues to make the game easier for other young guys like Keyshawn George, Trey Johnson, of course, as well, too. So I see that two-man game getting up and down the floor, running pick and roll. And AJ will have a chance to run pick and rolls and have the ball in his hands, but it won't all be on him. So in a way, you can kind of ease him into getting those gradual on-ball reps. So I just love the fit here.
Hans Steinbach from Washington via Germany is the pick to Charlotte. They need some bigs at some point. So a guy that will just absolutely suck up rebounds, I think, is an interesting thing for a team that wants to get out and run here too. Good timing. I want to get both of your guys' perspective on some of the questions we got in the chat here. Riley Seelig asks, what's y'all's intel on Kareem Lopez? Jam, maybe let's start with you. What's your take on Lopez?
Yeah, definitely. Kareem, personally, he was a guy I wasn't super high on. I have him right there in the late first, early second round was kind of my grade for him. Golden State was rumored to be a hot spot for him right now. We'll kind of see what happens. Maybe there's going to be somewhere down in that first round. Thinking about potentially Boston could be a good fit right there too, getting them another potential 3-and-D wing with that physicality and strength as well too, and kind of have him and Hugo Gonzalez be able to wreak havoc there defensively. So I wasn't a huge fan of him, but I can certainly see the value there and someone that I think that can really help a team late in the first.
Kevin, where'd you have him?
Yeah, I had him even lower than this. I had him with a sort of a early second round grade, so a little bit lower. Not like he's going to be terrible or anything. He's got a chance, I think. But I just, my stat-based system was not exactly blown away by what he did last season.
Yeah, I had him 37. So I don't think the three of us are the wrong people to ask. I
guess I had him 39th. So
okay,
I had him 38, so we're all right there.
Wow, all right.
That's amazing convergence.
Yeah.
I feel good about that. I feel better about that I haven't totally whiffed knowing you guys have them in the same range here too. All right, next question in the chat. Cooper says, help me feel okay about AJ being the pick over Darren Peterson. Jim, you want to give a first go at that one?
Well, I'll be honest. Darren was my top overall pick. He was wire to wire just based off of pure talent. That still would have been my selection, but I think in this situation, AJ does provide a little bit of a higher floor, obviously being 6'9", the athlete that he is. And it's not like that he is still really raw offensively. You talk about someone who's led the nation in scoring too, and is still polishing the rest of his offensive game, as he's been on his media tour these past couple of days, has mentioned he didn't even get a chance to really display his full bag. So we'll get a chance to see that and everything that he has. But I think here is just a chance he's a guy that offers a little bit more positional versatility, that can really play 2 through 4, can switch defensively as well. And I'm excited about just how big the Wizards can play alongside Trae Young. When you can go like Keyshawn George, you can have AJ, of course, Sarr and Davis, Coulibaly. So I really like the lineup construction they can put behind Trae Young.
Yeah. Kevin, any additional thoughts now?
Not really. So, we talked about this at the start, but my pick probably would have been Cam Boozer. I'm a stat guy. I think I'm like legally required. I got to read the 5.
They kick you out of the club if you don't say Boozer at that point.
No, I like I said before, guys who are as productive as Boozer was, just period, in college, turn out typically to be great NBA players. And that Boozer did it at 18 years old is really impressive. And so I think he would have been my pick. That said, Dybantsa, I think, will be a great pick at number 1. I mean, I think he's a big time scorer, has a lot of versatility to his game. Offensively, at least, and then defensively, he's certainly got all the tools to be a great defender, or at least an adequate defender. And the guy, he might be the best athlete just walking in the door in like franchise history, pretty close to it. Yeah. John Wall is up there.
Don't sleep on Tomas Satoransky, who used to beat John Wall and Kelly Oubre in dunk contests in practice. So sleep on that one.
They did have Kenny Walker on the roster.
Yeah.
No, but it's we'll see. But I'm pretty pained. But here's the thing: I could make a great case for Peterson too. He's really impressive. This is a really strong draft, and so I don't really see a lot of bust potential in these guys. I mean, certainly it could happen. I think health is always an potential issue for players, but this is a really strong draft, and like historically strong, I think.
Fortunate to have the first pick, so it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you were going to win one, this is not a bad year to do that. I wouldn't have minded it in the Wemby draft or the flag draft, et cetera, et cetera. But
I feel like they got the best player in the star draft too. So
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. All right, another question from Cooper. It says, Kevin, are you at all worried about AJ being 99th percentile in unassisted 2-pointers and low block and steal rate, which fits the profile of other underwhelming prospects like Wiggins, Jabari Parker, and Johnny Davis? A Johnny Davis reference right now is just diabolical on one of the happiest nights in franchise history. Come on, Cooper.
Good job, Cooper. No, I'm not particularly worried. I mean, I will say that as I'm looking at Dybantsa, certainly the low steal rate and the low block rate are potential concerns considering his athletic tools, his physical tools. So certainly that's concern. That said, with Dybantsa, the things that I looked at, obviously the scoring, pretty high efficiency scoring. The 99th percentile in unassisted 2s is a little concerning, but not really, because he didn't really play in a particularly talented ecosystem there. And so the Wizards have been able to be successful getting guys to, take better shots. They've been working on their shot profile with the guys that they have. And I would expect that there's nothing that I've heard about Dybantsa to suggest that he's not receptive to coaching. So there's that kind of stuff. Plus, he did rebound pretty well for a forward who played more on the perimeter. And he also generated some assists too. So it's not like he's just a gunner. I'm going to be really interested to see what he can do. But I would say that the low blocks and steals is a little bit of a concern. He did say that he got a little lazy defensively at BYU, and
it's a requirement contractually at BYU. So
yeah, sorry. Hopefully the Wizards can, as they pivot to competing to actually win games, that they can coax better effort from everyone on the defense.
Jam, any thoughts on AJ being a little underwhelming in that aspect of things?
No, I'm not really concerned. Like, he's a multiple level shot maker. You love that he can create his own. I think this also goes back to what we talked about earlier with Trae Young. That's a part of the responsibility. Create open shots for AJ.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I think about, you have a guy like AD and Sar, these role threats who are going to have that gravity there. You have Trey Johnson on the perimeter opening things up. Keyshawn George as well opening things up. So AJ is going to get a lot more clean looks and opportunities to attack closeouts. And that's going to be really beneficial to get him some easier points and get him going as well.
Yeah, totally agree. Dalen Swain at 15. Wow. A little rich for my blood personally, goes to Chicago. Any thoughts from either of you on Swain going just outside the lottery?
Yeah, I had him 25th overall, so a little early for me. And I would have gone, LeBaron Filan's still there, Sergio De La Rey. I like those guys both better. There's a few other guys I like, Christian Anderson, Alan Graves, really productive. Trevon Brazil, I know he's supposed to go in the second round, but he's another guy that I really like.
Mhm. He's another guy that fits new GM or president of basketball operations there, Bryson Graham, that slap mentality, the size, length, athleticism, physicality. So it makes a lot of sense for what Chicago wants to do. I have him at 19, so I'm not super surprised, but it comes down to the shooting there, and that's the team that really, really needs some shooting.
Yeah, shots like not broken. I mean, he's a really good free throw shooter, gets to the line a good amount, and I don't know, an athlete who drives the ball and maybe defends a couple of positions. I see the vision. Again, a little rich for my blood. I had him early to mid 20s, so not crazy far off. But
I mean, I don't think he's a bad guy. Like,
No,
you know, a lot of these guys, he in a more typical draft, he'd probably be right around this range. So,
yeah.
And I may have missed it, but is Cam Carr still on the board right now?
He is still on the board as well, who I really
thought
like.
that would have been a great pick for Chicago.
Yeah. I know. I had visions of him running the break next to Modest Buzelis and then throwing down thunder dunks from either position on people. But all right, Jam, I got a question for you here from Jay. I'm hoping Elijah Mahi gets drafted. Very underrated player. I love this dude. He is my favorite of the Santa Clara prospects personally. I know you get pretty deep with some of these guys here. Any thoughts on Mahi and his NBA prospects?
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about someone with positional size at 6'7". Looks like it's a plus wingspan as well. For these type of guys, you hope they can fit a 3 and D role, and that's something that he can. The shooting kind of went up and down, but shot 34% on very good volume. I believe it was 6 attempts per game exactly. A stock guy as well. I believe it was a little under 2 stocks per game as well too. So just a versatile forward that slides into that 3 and D role. And I think in the second round, probably as an undrafted free agent, teams are going to really love to get him in that priority 2-way.
Yeah, totally agree. Kevin, did you put him on the?
I'm actually running his numbers right now. I have not run his numbers.
I'd be curious to know.
Yeah.
I saw Santa Clara play twice in person while Mahi was there, and once this year with Graves. And a friend of mine was like, "Oh, let me know how you feel about the NBA caliber guy on Santa Clara." And before the year, I was like, "Oh, is it Buki Okoye? Like Aboye? Excuse me. Who are we talking about here?" And then I'm like, "Oh, Mahi, I love this dude." And then like, "No, Alan Graves." I'm like, "Oh, he was perfectly fine in the game I saw live." And so then I did the deep dive. But yeah, Mahi, I really enjoyed.
Is he more wing or is he more like a 3-4?
Yeah, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you could go either position depending on the team and player construction. I think if you can get him to play the 4, I think he's even more valuable just because he'll put the ball on the floor and push tempo a little bit too. So we'll see. And honestly, it's a requirement from Herb Sendek to put out at least a couple NBA guys every couple of years too. So if it's not Graves, it's got to be Mahi holding it down for him here as well. Jim, No Ceilings NBA. If people are not familiar, tell them what we're missing and how we get in on the action.
Yeah, you can follow all our work at NoCeilingsNBA.com and also at NoCeilingsNBA and on Twitter as well too. Same thing with Instagram and TikTok. You know, we are just people that are extremely passionate, maniacally passionate about basketball, particularly NBA draft, covering everything draft related from the college stuff. We're doing high school things as well too. So just doing everything we can to provide a platform and just helping grow the community. And we've been able to work with and meet wonderful people like you all. And it's just been such a fun ride. And we appreciate all the support. Right now, we actually have our live stream going on right now too. I'll be hosting the second round draft stream tomorrow.
Okay.
Maxwell and Steven. So looking forward to doing that as well too. They kind of call them the sickos like us for round 2. So I'm looking forward to that.
I know with those guys and you, we'll get a couple deep cuts here. So I love that kind of stuff. I would say my single greatest plug for the entire No Ceilings NBA team. Everybody is incredibly approachable. You can go to any guy that's, hey, I've got a particular niche or player type, or I love the mid-major, low-major guys, and go to someone on the team that's sort of their bag as well, and just have a cool convo with them. So I've always really appreciated that about the whole crew. And You got a couple sneaky Wizards fans on the team there. Both Tylers have been
Yeah.
showing us some love here too. So always appreciate that. And where can they find you personally?
Absolutely. You can find me on Jam on the Boards on Twitter. And then also on our Draft Sickos podcast as well. We do it every Sunday as well, so come over and check us out.
Awesome, man. Thank you for doing this. And I look forward to seeing you out on the trail here again at some point for a game this upcoming season.
Absolutely. See y'all soon. Take care. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good luck tomorrow.
Good
Thank
meeting
you.
All right. We'll keep it rolling here. Got the next person on our panel coming up here in a second. As soon as I see him pop back onto the screen down below, I'll bring on Mr. Jim Coulter of Wizards Weekly here as well. Got a couple more Wizards specific questions we can get into. If you are watching this on YouTube, hit the like button for us, or you can do it from Facebook. I think maybe even Twitter lets you, because I will never call it X. Hit the like button as well. Wherever you're doing it from, we appreciate it. Also, again, reminder, you can go in and drop a donation to the Animal Allies Rescue Foundation here as well, and help sick, wounded, injured, recovering animals like my little guy, Arlo, over here hanging out. He's totally asleep, Kevin. We've bored him with draft talk at this point. While we're waiting for Jim to jump on, Memphis has just selected Bennett Sturtz at number 16. This is entirely too rich for my blood. I had him about 20 spots lower than this personally. Incredibly high usage offensive player, pick and roll maestro, one might say. I do not know who he guards in the NBA, and against all of their best competition. Granted, he basically had to be James Harden for them. Super inefficient against the best competition, although they won a lot of those games. So he finds a way to get it done. Or did you have Mr. Bennett Sturtz?
I had him, again, a little further down than you. I had him 29 spots lower.
Ooh,
So-
okay.
So I had him in the 40s.
Nice.
So that said, I mean, the strengths, 59% on twos. He didn't really shoot it very well from three, but money from the free throw line. Like no rebounds, just a few assists. The guy, like with the rebounds and stuff, one of the worst players, I did this retroactively, but one of the worst players, Yoda scores, was JJ Redick.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And I realized why in looking at the numbers, and that is that at Duke, the only thing that Duke asked him to do was shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And he because he did no rebounding, no playmaking. He didn't have steals, certainly didn't have blocks. I mean, he had arms were shorter than his wingspan, shorter than his height. But you know, when he got to the NBA, and the NBA teams were like, you know, we need you to do more stuff. He turns out he could do it, and plus he worked his ass off, got in great shape, became fabulous off-ball mover and stuff. You know,
Really, what I'm hearing here, it was Coach K's fault because
Yeah.
he was overrated.
yeah, that's it.
All right, couple other questions here as we go. Going back to that best athlete all time for the Wizards, Riley Seelig said Jan Vesely, best athlete all time for the Wizards, hands down. I would say maybe not best athlete, but did have best draft day performance. Just tongue kissing your girlfriend on national TV is a baller move, and I will always respect him for that. So shout out to him for getting after it on ESPN. That's a pretty bold move.
Yeah, I would say not that I think that Vesely is even close to being the best athlete, but he was a pretty good athlete.
Yeah.
And the most successful stretch of his NBA career was about 6 weeks at the end of his rookie year when the Wizards were playing him like basically a rim running five. And when you're a rim running five and you're a run and dunk guy, and you have John Wall as your point guard, you know, that tends to work out pretty well, and that worked out quite well for him. And then they decided he was Dirk Nowitzki for whatever reason, and turns out he wasn't.
We know the end of that one. This is Arlo, everybody. He says, go right now over to ARF, Animal Allies Rescue Foundation, and make a donation for other fellow Wizards fans like him. He's going to try really hard to put his ass in front of the camera here. So I'm going to get him out of here, and instead we're going to bring in the next member of our panel, and that's Jim Coulter coming in from Wizards Weekly. Jim, how are you doing, and what did you think of the pick? Oh, Jim, can you hear us? Oh, maybe not. Can you hear us? Oh, there he is.
I
We can
can't
hear
hear you
you.
at all. I don't know
Oh,
if you
good.
can hear me.
We
but-
can hear you. Okay, so we were due for an inevitable something to go on tonight. Technical difficulties. Why we'll get Jim back here and we'll figure that
Not a
out.
remote call until somebody's got a sound problem.
Exactly. It's a requirement technologically in the year 2026 for that to still happen at least one of the times. All right, let's try this again. Jim, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
There we go. All right.
I could hear you at the start and then it just cut out. I don't know what happened, but
It's StreamYard. That's what they do. They're just trying to keep their tech support well employed. Kevin, Jim, Kevin. I don't know if you guys know each other, but now you do.
Matt.
how's it going? Good to meet you.
Jim, thoughts on the pick? How you feeling?
I'm excited, man. I don't think I've stopped smiling for the last like 2 hours. I mean, this is what, the whole tank and the whole rebuild process was to get a chance to get a guy with this level of talent. And, obviously the lottery gods blessed us. And, I do think they took the right guy. Like, I think you could make a good case for all three of the top players, but I ended up going with Dybantsa at 1. And I'm ecstatic and can't wait for Summer League, which is coming up sooner than people realize. And then the season to start. It's going to be a lot of fun. So.
Knowing this would be over and behind us and I could breathe for a little bit, my wife and I have scheduled a 2-week Italian vacation coming up here over the weekend. So I was like, I haven't gone to Summer League the last couple years. I won't need to go. And then we get the number 1 pick since we have scheduled this trip. And it's like, do I want to fly in from Italy and route immediately to Vegas for a day or two? So that might still be in the cards. We'll see. So if other Wizards fans are going, let me know. Maybe that sweetens the deal here.
I think if you want to see Dybantsa play, probably got to get there for the first game or two.
That's true. You got 2 games in him, and that may be about all we're getting, or a game and a half. Really,
I was gonna say 2 games at most. He might play 1.5 or something.
I think it starts on the 7th this year. Does that sound right? Let's see, 2026.
It's usually
NBA's
around there.
Summer League. It runs. Nope. I'm just way off. Oh no, that's okay. The Vegas one is the 9th through the 19th. So we return on the 10th. So depending on schedule, maybe I could make it there for a game. So that is something to keep an eye on here. I want to circle back to something in the chat here from my guy Ryan Oliver, who, Ryan, you are also welcome to join us on the show here at any point if you want to do that. Just send me a text. I'll get you on. Ryan said, how would spacing work with Belisle in the starting 5? So, Jim, we were talking about a starting 5 that includes Trae Young, Coulibaly, AJ, Sarr, and Davis. He makes some sense with Trae to Ryan's point and covers up some defense. But that's not a particularly great shooting group overall here. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I do like the fit of Bilal and Trae defensively because I think obviously teams are going to try to hunt Trae and put him in every screen, and to kind of keep him out of those matchups, you need guys that can, fight around screens and stay attached to ball handlers. And I think that's honestly what Coulibaly probably does best defensively. Like, he's really good at that. So I do like the defensive fit. I don't think you can play that lineup unless Sarr and Bilal both take pretty substantial shooting leaps this summer. Like, I just don't see it, unfortunately. I think if it was just one of the bigs, I think you could make it work and kind of figure it out. But I don't know, because AJ, like, that is the area of growth for him offensively is the spot up 3. And that might take a year or two. And then Anthony Davis, we know, is not much of a 3-point shooter. And then Bilal and Sarr are questionable at this point, I would say, from 3. So I don't think that works. I would probably go with Keyshawn George in that spot instead. Just, I think, gives you a better combination of offense and spacing while still giving you some defense. But I do think Bilal will play a very important role on the team next year. I don't know about in the starting 5 personally.
Kevin, I'd love your take on this. I tweeted something the other day that just said basically on a playoff team, I think Coulibaly becomes exponentially more valuable because teams get away with playing this one guy that's just a stopper and doesn't really do much to space the floor, and things kind of bog down anyway. So it seems like you could just, I know the one guy that comes out is switchable, has positional length, and just locks people down is like the Lou Dorts of the league seem to mean more in the playoffs than they do for a lot of these regular season games too.
Yeah. So, I mean, I take all that point, and I think that is a potential issue. And I think it's, my take on it is just have the competition, let them sort it out on the court, let them sort it out, the players, let them fight it out. And when I say fight it out, it's not even necessarily which one is going to be the better player. It's which one is better in that lineup or in that combination of players. Because who knows? I mean, you could end up finding out that Bub Carrington is actually the best fit in terms of how it's going to work as a starting lineup. That said, I do think that ultimately comes down to probably three guys competing for 2 spots to start the season, and that'd be Dybantsa, Keyshawn George, and Bilal Coulibaly. Probably Dybantsa wins the starting spot, and so it's the 2-for-1 type of deal. And then I think it's at that point you're just kind of figuring out which guy is the best fit for your lineup and going to try to help you win. Because I think realistically, you start to say Coulibaly starts the game, I could see seriously 5 to 6 minutes in, you've got him coming out and Keyshawn George coming in, or he's coming out along with like Anthony Davis, and then you got like Keyshawn and Bub Carrington coming in. So you've got this sort of weird sort of shift going on where you're changing your look pretty significantly when you go to the bench. And then you bring in Trey Johnson, you've got even more shooting. So, I think it's an interesting kind of I think you start getting some interesting combinations is what I was trying to say. It's getting late.
This is a franchise where we've seen them be successful with Raul Neto as the small forward on a playoff team. So it's like sometimes the weird fit actually makes the most sense once you get them out there.
Yeah, that was one. Scott Brooks, he ended up getting fired after that season and let go.
Just for the audacity of it, He
was heavily maligned, but I thought that was actually like a great coaching job. And I'm not sure that was anything necessarily genius, but Avdia got hurt. And when Avdia got hurt, he had to figure out a lineup that worked. And so we had the 3-headed monster at center. And then he started Neto as essentially the 6-foot guard as a small forward, essentially. And what happened is they got a whole lot more skill out there, where Avdia couldn't shoot to the spacing issue. Neto could shoot. He could also, attack closeouts. He could set guys up. And so they got a lot more skill out there. And they went, 22-8 or whatever it was to finish out the season.
Yep. Totally agree. A couple thoughts here in the chat. City of Oaks says, just joining the party. This is a great night. Does AJ start from day one? And does he have to earn it in the preseason, or is it handed to him? I think we just largely covered that. I think there's nothing handed to you at this point. Dawkins and Winger have both been very on record about this is now like you earned a certain amount of minutes just by being here before. That is no longer the case. And, I think that's going to be a good thing for the franchise. Moving on here. My guy Tommy said, good night. Great night all. Great guests. Matt and Kevin, always love your work. Money to the pets from me. Tommy, you were the effing man. The greatest thing anyone has ever done on Wizards Twitter is Tommy took a screenshot of Wes Unseld in front of like a large-chested woman, and it's just like the boob that is Wes Unseld Jr.'s head next to 2 equally large boobs, and it's one of my favorite screenshots of just the caught in the moment. So shout out to Tommy for having just the absolute best eye for when to grab a screen grab too. So love that for him. Okay, a couple other ones here. Let's see. All Terp everything. That's my guy Ryan said Coach K is overrated. Thank you for backing me up on that one. All Coach K slander is welcome. John Tester said Kwame was the best athlete, but not much else. Thoughts on Kwame Brown's overall athleticism while we're talking number 1 overall former Wizards picks?
There's a case for it. Kwame was a hell of an athlete. He was big, fast, strong, could jump. I mean, he was a little short-armed, relatively speaking. I don't think it wasn't like he had a negative wingspan, but he didn't have particularly long arms. Yeah, but he was a great athlete, though.
People can say what they want about Kwame Brown, but he made a lot of money playing basketball and stuck around the league for a long time. So I think he's probably doing pretty well.
My thoughts
So
exactly.
I got a chance to talk to Kwame back when I was going to games on Press Pass, and he had just finished battling Robert Traylor, and the two of them went at it, and it was super physical. They were really knocking each other around. Kwame was trying to, as he would do, try to get his head under the rim when the ball was, the shot was in the air, and Traylor had the same idea. And Robert Traylor, for those who don't remember, was about 6'10" and probably about 320.
The tracker.
Yeah. And so I asked Kwame, he was talking about how strong Traylor was. And I said, I thought he was like kind of fat and overweight. And he's like, he might be, but that dude was huge and he was strong. So anyway.
Strong fat, as they say. That's what I tell people. Or country strong is another acceptable term there for that one as well. Before we keep going here, I'm going to bring on next, but certainly not least or last member of the panel here. We got DJ Chandler of the Chocolate City Hoops podcast. DJ, thanks for jumping on, man.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks, guys.
Thoughts on the pick? How you feeling?
I mean, it's AJ, right? I mean, it's a new era of Wizards basketball. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we've known this for a while now, though, right? We've talked about it for some time. So I think I've had a lot of time to already accept that we're heading into a new era now. So I'm more excited now to see if the Wizards hop back in here in the first round, see what they do.
Perfect segue. I was just going to ask you that question here as well. Andy Lauer, Commercial Real Estate, said, chances Wizards trade. I assume that means trade back into the draft here. DJ, do you think that's realistic?
It's realistic. I mean, I think, was it the last time we talked on my pod, right? We said that there needs to be some sort of consolidation somewhere. I personally don't believe that these 2 second-round picks are going to actually be selected by the Wizards. I do anticipate that there's some sort of trade, some sort of consolidation happening here. And, I mean, whether that's just to get rid of both of the picks or to get back into the first round, I think that's on the board for this front office.
Jim, can you see him making a move here at this point in the draft? We're about 18 picks in. Charlotte has just picked Christian Anderson out of Texas Tech, by the way. So we're at the 19th pick, basically.
Yeah, I was just checking to see who was still on the board. There's not like a ton of great bigs. I feel like big and then another backup point guard are kind of the spots that we could look at. And like Steinbach's gone, and there's not a lot of great bigs. Anyways, Mara went. So, I mean, Phylon is still out there.
I love him, man. I would do that.
I have him in the top 10. I think Phylon's awesome. Like, I don't know who would be willing to trade the pick, but he's a guy I would definitely, depending on the price, I'd be looking at. I mean, he's a sophomore, so he's a little bit older. Like, I think he could come in and play backup point guard minutes for you next year and then maybe take over from Trae Young, when his contract's up. I don't know what they'd give up. I mean, but I would definitely be looking at it. Maybe that pick we got in the Denny trade, the one, I don't know, it's like the third least favorable of 4 teams or something. And I think it's like 2028, something like that. Maybe I would definitely look at it. I think he's awesome and would be a lot of fun. So,
Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I was on it earlier to move in and get another pick. I like Phylon. Sergio De La Rey is another one I think would be really nice. If you're looking for a big, probably a few picks from now, Zubi Ejiofor could be interesting as another, backup big. There's some Cam Carr still out there. Koa Pete, Malik Thomas. There's some guys out there that can play a little bit. Alan Graves, the dude from Santa Clara. Not that I would necessarily pick him. He does not fit the profile of a Wizards player at all. They like the more like the Dybantsa type.
Measurables.
Yeah, the longer guys with long arms and athletic tools, that kind of stuff. That's what they tend to like. Dybantsa, Koulibaly, Will Riley. They all fit the kind of the same profile. Sorry, even fits it, right? But Phylon, Sergio De La Rey. I could see trading up for those. And then there's one guy I really like in this draft that I think can probably get if they could trade into like the 30s and, a second round pick. And that would be Trevon Brazile from Arkansas.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that.
DJ,
Exactly.
we talked about him previously too. Give us your
Yeah.
take on Brazil.
I mean, my sort of thinking is going back to the trade is that I just feel like you need some sort of AD insurance, right? No one's going to actually replace AD, but I mean, look, you're probably good for 30, 35 games. That's kind of what you're hoping for, right? From Brazil's standpoint, though, I believe he's like 6'11", can shoot, can block, right? It seems like you can kind of like put him right next to Sar in some lineups. I mean, honestly, we could have a really tall, big lineup in certain cases, especially with different 6'9" guys, 6'8" guys, bringing up the ball, whether that's Will Riley, whether that's AJ, right, point of attack. So, yeah, I just think at 6'11", Brazil, right, can just like stretch out the floor and, just be a spot up shooter, play decent defense, can probably play 3 through 5. So, yeah, I like him a lot.
LeBaron Philon shown on the screen right now with agent Mike Miller. Maybe something happening. There's some moving around here. His head coach Nate Oates is on the phone at the moment, so I don't know. We'll see if he's the next guy to come off the board here. He is number 1 on my best available as well. I had him 11th, and then after that I have Cam Carr at 13, who is also still available. Let's go DJ, Jim, and Kevin just gave us a couple, but who are your guys you'd most like to see come off the board next?
I think it's Cam Carr. I'm actually very surprised he's even still on the board, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, we've already kind of talked about him to some extent, but Cam Carr is my number 1 here.
Jim, anyone else?
Yeah, Philon is the highest guy I have on my board left. I like Alan Graves, not as much as some people, but I'm a fan of his. I actually think that's a good call. Like, I don't know if he's the Wizards type of player, but I think he fits next to Sar. Like, the rebounding is.
Did he just go to Toronto?
Yeah, Toronto just picked him.
He just did. Yep, there you go.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought they were going to go Philon there. I felt like they needed a guard, but
no, they need every 6'8" player imaginable. The whole roster is just forwards for forever.
That makes so much sense, actually.
They're contractually required to just take power forwards from now until the end of time.
I think he's got a chance to be good.
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, I like him.
He's skilled for sure, and they could use some more skill and shooting and things like that too. So,
I also like Malik Thomas. I saw you tweeted something about him the other day, Matt. So I know you're a fan of his as well. But I like him a lot. Like, he's, I think, better on defense than people give him credit for, and can obviously like really shoot it. So I'm a fan of his.
At least competitive. The effort is there.
Yeah, I want to loop back to Brazil for a second because like I say, I would really love for him to show up with the Wizards. I think this is the kind of guy. He's like the kind of athlete who could win a dunk contest.
Absolutely.
He's and some of his highlights, because I look at the highlights after I've done the statistical analysis, right? And his highlights were just fun. I mean, he had a couple of dunks, like alley-oop dunks, where the lob comes in and it's like, holy crap, I can't believe he caught that. Oh shit, he dunked it too. It's he had one where there was an offensive rebound, the ball caroms off, and he had to reach all the way back just to get the rebound because of where he jumped, and he still dunked it. It's just like, this guy is a freakish athlete, and you need play finishers too, guys who can just cutting to the hoop and they dunk on the opposing center so hard that it just like steals their soul. You need that kind of stuff, and I would just love to see that in a Wizards uniform.
Just look at that for a second. I mean, head above the rim from multiple feet away from the rim is just not a thing too many Wizards have historically been able to pull off. So
the last one had to have been Daniel Gafford.
Yeah,
the last athletic big we've had.
Underrated.
To do something crazy. Yeah.
All right, fellas, I got a couple questions in the chat here for you from Charles Taylor, maybe Taylor. We'll see. Do we have enough money to sign Anthony Davis to a max contract after signing Trae Young? I think you do, technically, assuming you literally sign no one else beyond that and don't put any of these guys on meaningful rookie extensions. So to me, that ship has probably sailed, but where do you guys see it?
It's tricky, right? Because I nobody knows what the front office is thinking, but I think you definitely need, right? We talked about the consolidation and the trades that need to happen, but I think in the midst of that, you need some other vets on this team. You can't just have Trae and AD, right? I mean, that's you need more vets on this team. So I find it very hard. Like you said, if they're going to give him the max, then you're pretty much just saying, all right, we're just going to stick with the young core we have, and literally the vets are going to be Trey and AD. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I highly doubt that we give AD the max that he's
Jim, what do you
asking
think?
for.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I don't know. They surprised me with giving Trey Young that much money, so I'm not
That's
entirely
why
sure
that's
at
why I
this
was
point.
hesitant. That's why I was very
Yeah.
hesitant to say that. Yeah.
But I feel like giving him that much money probably makes it more likely that AD is not on the team long term, and I'm sure he'll start the year here, but maybe is like a deadline type of trade, because they do have to start thinking about Sarr and George and all of these guys in their rookie extensions in a couple years. So I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what they're going to do after the whole Trey Young thing. So we'll see.
Yeah, the Trey Young deal I wouldn't say it surprised me, but let's just say it's not what I would have done. With AD, I agree. I think long term, you don't go think long term with a guy who's 33 years old. This is his age 33 season coming up next year, 34. His injuries probably a little overblown, but it's been a couple of years and last year he missed a lot of time. He's obviously a great player, and great players often are productive into their late 30s. So, maybe it's not the end of the world, but, I'd be a little surprised if they were to, roll out and give him $65 million a year for, 3 or 4 years, starting at age 34 or 35. That would be a little nuts.
Yeah, it's a hard sell, I think, at that point, and I don't know. We'll see. Ace of Stripe had asked a while ago. Sorry, I'm just catching up on all the chat stuff here. What about Cam Whitmore? That is not a name we have mentioned at any point tonight. We'll go DJ, Jim, Kevin. Thoughts on Cam Whitmore's future with the Wizards here?
Yeah, I actually love Cam Whitmore, right, coming out of college, and even when we got him, I was super excited, right, went from Houston for like just a second round pick. Unfortunately, it's not his complete fault, but I think due to health, right, availability issues, right, that's kind of what happens is once you give somebody else an opportunity and they outplay that opportunity that they're given. I think now it's at the point where, right, Cam Whitmore is a part of that consolidation, that trade block that we talked about, right? So it's unfortunate because he does bring a certain amount of athleticism, maybe outside of Bilal. He's probably the most athletic person on the team right now.
Yeah.
And he had some pretty nice highlight dunks, and you'd like to see that athleticism outside of the shooting that we have. But I don't know. I think, unfortunately, him getting, hurt, or, I think, was it the blood clot? I believe it was. It's unfortunate, but I don't think he's going to be back next year.
Yeah, I do unfortunately agree with that. Like, I felt like last year was really his chance to get a lot of runway and like kind of work through some of the flaws in his game, and just getting those blood clots. Like, I mean, obviously it was terrible for him personally, but I really think for his career, like that was a tough blow. And then Keyshawn has like a breakout year and kind of solidifies himself. Champagny has another good year, and then we draft AJ Dybantsa, all 3 guys at his position as well. Like, I think last year was kind of his chance to show what he can do, and I don't know. I don't see him really being in the rotation next year at all. Like, if you run down the names, like there's just no room for him. And so, yeah, I don't know if he'll be on the team or if he'll end up somewhere else, but it's unfortunate. I do wish him the best going forward, but yeah, I don't know.
Very much like DJ, I thought I had him rated pretty solidly in Yoda, despite the low assists, excuse me. And I do agree that last year was really an opportunity for him to seize an NBA career, and the Wizards were not very happy with him, even when he was healthy. They didn't start him. They kept curtailing his playing time, and then they benched him. They took him out of the rotation completely because the coaches were not happy with the way he was playing, with his attitude, with his approach to the game, with the way that he was playing. And that was before the blood clot issue. The blood clot issue came, 10 days after they benched him. And then he missed the rest of the season, and he's going to have an uphill climb. He's going to have to come back in and, he's going to have to beat some guys, beat them out, outplay them to earn a spot in the rotation. And there's some decent guys ahead of him at this point. So I do think that he's the sort who might end up getting kind of dumped on somebody else, passed off, maybe even just flat out released. That would be an option too. But, he is a talented player, but he's got to change his approach to the game a little bit, I think.
Yeah, devil's advocate would be maybe this was the wake-up call of like, hey, you were a top 5 high school prospect and you thought you should have been a top 5 pick and you fell, and you can't view yourself that way anymore because NBA teams don't. So you got to go out and be hungry and show what you can do here. A couple other questions in the chat. Riley Seelagast, no love for Chris Sinak out of Houston. Am I missing something as a great fit next to Sarr long term with 1 to 2 years to develop behind AD? I have him 16th personally on my board, so he's 4th best available in that range. So he would be someone I would consider, and if he's on here in the 20s, I would be very interested in him as a guy the Wizards could go get with some front court depth. Kevin, where did you have Chris Sinak?
He lands 29th, and I would say that in a typical draft, figure he moves up about 9-10 spots.
Sure.
So he's probably really like a 20th over, like a mid to late first type of grade. So I don't mind him. By the way, the Spurs just picked Jaden Quaintance.
That's also very smart for the Spurs, I think, is just put a guy with high pedigree as a lockdown switchable defender with some size next to Wemby. That's, I don't know, man.
I'm surprised I didn't pick Filon, but
how many more guards can they take? They've got all these guards of the future, and they're locked to De'Aaron Fox until the end of time.
They're about to trade Fox, so
Yeah.
If Quaintance is healthy, that is a terrifying front court.
Yeah,
Him and
good luck
Wemby together on
scoring.
defense. Yeah.
That is.
Just along those lines here as well, Loan Money asked if the Wiz moved back into the late first for a center who you were taking. He mentioned Quaintance, who is now off the board. He has Gongba on there. Pat Gongba is going back to Duke for another year, but Sinak is available. Henry Vasar out of North Carolina is available. Terrace Reed is available. He says Krivas, that's Krivas from Arizona, who is also going back to college. But who's your best available big man, fellas? And what are your thoughts? Jim, why don't you go? We'll have DJ, and then Kevin can round us out.
I wish Krivas was still in the draft. I think that dude's awesome. But I would say Sinak. I don't know if he's like a true center. I feel
More
like
of a
he's
4
kind
to
of a
me. Yeah.
4 who can play some 5 as well.
Yeah.
I think if you believe in the shot with Sinak, that's a really fun player because he's an awesome rebounder, and the way he can move at his size, like I think he's got some switchability. So he'd be a lot of fun. And I feel like I've been saying this for 3 years, ever since we drafted Sarr. I think you need a 4 that can really rebound next to him long term. And so I like that fit. I think that'd be fun. Like if they do end up moving back here into the first of the bigs that are available, like he'd be the guy for me pretty easily. So
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I'm not gonna change my mind. I think if they move back into the first or late first, Basil, I think that's my guy. I just like what he brings. I mean, he does need to bulk up. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's my guy.
I dig it. Kevin, anyone other than Brazil or Sinak? Who's the next available big you have that?
I mean, Ejiofor from St. John's.
Subi, yeah.
Maybe not the biggest guy, but very productive. Blocked a bunch of shots and jumps out of the gym. So, and also a good passer, which is not usually. It's often a good indicator of defensive. From a big man, it's a good assists are a good proxy for defense.
Also, guys, I let everybody know when I asked him to come on for a handful of minutes. I've kept both DJ and Jim here longer than that. This is no obligation to stay later than you want, so don't feel like you need to hang, but you are welcome to do this for as long as you guys both want to. So we got other stuff. Don't worry about it, but if you want to hang around, we're happy to have you.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, the wife hasn't come to get me yet, so
all right,
we're good here.
I like it. Jim, you good to hang for a bit?
Yeah, I'll hang out for a little while longer.
All right, cool. Let's keep it rolling here in the chat. John Tester says, how much did you expect Trey, I think that's Trey Young's contract to be? Everyone says he was overpaid, but not by how much. So what was your expectation for his deal? TJ, you want to go first, and then we'll go Kevin and then Jim?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was the money that got me as much more as it was the length of the contract. I think because of the age difference and the young guys, I kind of thought to myself that, all right, Trey's going to come in here, kind of be that gap, that bridge. So maybe like a 3-year contract, at most. But I think the 4-year was telling me like, oh no, like they're pretty committed to Trey. So again, it wasn't really the number as much more as it was the amount of years.
Yeah. In the same boat. Kevin, you want to go next?
Sure. I thought that it was a pretty huge overpay. And I was thinking more in the realm of like under 40 million a year, like probably more in that 30 to 35 million range. I don't think, for example, he's $100 million better than, say, Ayo Dosunmu. If it was me, that this would not have been my choice. I would have kind of done what they did to Otto Porter back in the day, which is, you think you can get a max, go ahead and get it, and we'll match it or we'll think about matching it. But probably parted ways that when you're getting up to 200+ million. I mean, I get that they saved 75 million or whatever by signing him to only the max he could have gotten elsewhere, but it's an awful lot. I wrote about this at Bullets Forever. It's been like 4 years since Young was at his best, and he's been coming down since then. So still a good player. I mean, I'm not saying he's not a good player. I'm just saying he's not the offensive weapon that he was. The league literally made rules to cut
the
down
foul baiting. I'm going to say it.
I was going to call it grifting, so foul baiting works too.
Yeah,
but
there you go.
They literally made rules to curtail exactly the kind of stuff that he does. It really didn't affect his free throw rate all that much, but the league has gotten more physical. They're allowing more physicality, and he has not gotten stronger. He's still kind of frail. He's still small, and he can get manhandled and roughed around now in ways that he couldn't a few years back. So still a very talented player. He is a genius level passer. The shooting is probably a little overrated in terms of himself, how he views his own shot. It's the thing that's tough with somebody like Young is his shooting skills. Are they really just average, or maybe a little better than average, and he just takes a really tough shot diet, or is he a great shooter who's taking a really tough shot diet? Yeah. Who knows? But you have to guard him because he's so prolific about getting him up. But the positives are he's a genius level passer, and when he heats up, he can carry an offense for a while. On the flip side, the past 3-4 years in Atlanta, the offense really wasn't any better when he was on the floor, not much, and the defense did get worse. So at least that's not quite right. The offense was better, but it just wasn't as much as you'd think for it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't as much as what you get with like a primary offensive engine, true 1A offensive player. So that's my thinking on the deal. So if they had said 3 years, 120 million, or 4 years, 120 million, I'd have been okay. But going 50+ million a year, that's rough, especially for 4 years. To DJ's point about the length of the deal, that 4 years is a little tough.
Jim, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I echo a lot of those same thoughts. I mean, 3 for 120 was kind of the reported number, and I would have been fine with that. Like, even that I think is a little risky to me, just because, like you guys were saying, like he has fallen off a bit as an offensive player, and we know what he's going to give up on defense, which is a lot. I mean, he's one of the worst defenders in the NBA. And so, it's actually, I think, kind of interesting that I think him and Ja Morant have kind of followed like similar career paths, where they both had some injuries, but like the NBA has changed the way they officiate these games, and it's so much more physical now. And those guys are kind of more slender. And I think The kind of rule changes, almost the unofficial rule changes have hurt those guys. Like Trae Young as an isolation scorer, like his efficiency's gone down a ton. He's kind of a guy now that like needs a screen to get his shot off, and that's fine. He's a great pick and roll player. I think he will help the young players and put them in better positions to succeed. I think guys like Sarr and Keyshawn George will benefit from having him here. It's just a lot. Like if he doesn't return to form that he was in 2-3 years ago, like this contract could be horrible year one. And then he's on the books for 3 more years. It's why I was cool with it as a buy low, where it's like, okay, maybe let him get healthy, get some burst that he used to have back. I think he's lost like a quarter step. Give him a short team friendly deal and just see how it goes. And if he's good, it helps you become a competent like playoff play-in level team. Like I was cool with it when they did it. At this point though, it was not what I was expecting. And now you're kind of all in and you're really betting on him to get back to the player he was 2 to 3 years ago. And like small guards, when they start declining, they typically don't regain that form. Like the league is not kind to small guards. So I don't know. I am just not a fan of it, to be honest, but they drafted AJ, so it's all good. Like
that buy low,
we're fine, but I'm not the biggest fan of it at all.
That buy low, by the way, was one of the reasons why I was like, it doesn't hurt that much if he walks, right? Then you still
sunk
give
cost.
up much to get it. I mean, yeah.
But
I mean, you're paying him now.
It does say something that the team that drafted him, the team that he took into the playoffs, did that great, the mustache twirl in New York, all that kind of stuff. That they did all that with him, and they were willing to trade him for the worst teams in the league, the worst team in the league's spare parts. So,
and then got better when he left. I mean, to be honest,
got better.
They went on a really big run.
So, which again is not to say that he's a bad player. It's just to say that he's not the player that he was in 23.
And I real quick, I think that's the thing is that people are looking at the number, and it's that, and I can understand why people are upset is because you're paying him to be that 1A, when in actuality, I think the path for Trae Young's success, and I think you mentioned it earlier, was that he needs to kind of evolve his game to be like that. He's already an elite playmaker, but that's what needs to be the focus. It's kind of like when John was here, and John was just like getting people paid because of his playmaking. And I think in a sense, Trae, that needs to be the focus, is like the pick and roll, the pick and pops with AD, with Sarr, getting everyone set up. And I think the playmaking is a little bit of what we've been missing, from a lead guard these past couple of years. So, if he can do that, that'd be great enough for me. He hits a couple shots, but I just don't think he's your 1A. But unfortunately, the Wizards are paying him $212 million 4 years to be a 1A.
I'll be honest, I would have preferred 3 years and $212 million. It's Ted's money. I don't care how he spends it when it doesn't really influence our cap. It's when we start to get into those extensions that I'm still kind of getting tweaked by. But I am over at Philly is picking right now. I am interested to see who this pick will be because
just came through.
Is it Phylon?
It is.
Yes.
God, that's the steal of the draft so far to me, because they just get these dudes, whether it's Maxey later or McCain later, and they may be too stupid to keep some of them, just saying. But getting Phylon here is a heck of a jump start for a team like this, because I think he is a ready-to-play offensive guy for them. And I don't know. Feels like the rich get richer from a guard perspective there. If they had kept McCain, this would be the most intriguing young guard squadron in the league by far. It's still pretty good now, though, too. So good work, Philly.
Yeah,
Is Carr still on the board?
Carr still on the board as well, too.
Carr still on the board. New York is 2 picks away, by the way. And they got Sergio De La Rey, a kid who's usually people who are that productive at his level at that age turn out to be good NBA players. So, so you got De La Rey, Cam Carr, Trevon Brazile still sitting there. Chris Sinak also.
I'm gonna go to New York. New York, Robinson's probably leaving, right?
So if you're looking for a Robinson replacement, you got Ejiofor, St. John's kid.
Yeah.
Keeping the local guy would be good there.
Good offensive rebounder.
Yeah. He's a
Kind
big
of play
old
him
boy.
with Cat too.
I think so. Yeah,
from
you let him
Cat,
do the big
so-
man things and be poor man's Julius Randle, that kind of stuff that Randle did for you here as well. I did not put this up before, but I wanted to shout them out. Riley Seelig Addis, Addiss. So let's go Addis. Thanks for answering all the questions tonight, y'all. Awesome crew, people, and analysts. Already made a donation. Shout out to you, Riley. You, the real MVP, for doing that. If anybody wants to make a donation to the Animal Allies Rescue Foundation, they can go do that as well. Had my ARF cat up here earlier tonight. He has since moved on now that the Wizards aren't picking again. He's keeping it rolling too. But thanks for everybody who is willing to do that. If you are listening to this on YouTube, hit the like button for us. Rate, review, subscribe if you're on the audio version of this as well. Guys, we've kept you a long time. I'll get you out of here. Jim, where can people find all the great coverage you provide of the Washington Wizards?
Yeah, you can find me anywhere. It's Wizards Weekly is podcast I do, so definitely will have an episode out in the next couple days talking about the draft. You can follow me on Twitter as well. I'm on there. So appreciate you for having me on.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Have a good night. I'll talk to you soon. DJ, same question. Where can people find you and the podcast that you and a team of other Wizards All-Stars do as well?
Yeah, so you can find us all. It's DJ D, Damo, right? Matt's kind of like our phantom extra host. So on the Chocolate City Hoops podcast, you can also find me at The Real DJ. We have a lot of great stuff coming up. Don't want to give away the surprise, but these next couple of months are going to be pretty exciting for all of Wizards content creators. So be on the lookout for some pretty cool stuff coming up soon.
As privy to one of those things, at least, I am excited about that as well. So shout out to you for putting in the hard hours to pull stuff together here for the community and for all the production value that goes into the only in-person live recorded in studio Wizards podcast in the Ethernets here. So great work, TJ. Thanks for coming on, man, and enjoy the rest of the draft night.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right. See you, bud. All right, Riley, are you all on podcast platforms or just YouTube? So you can find Believe in Wizards anywhere you get audio podcasts, whether that's iTunes, Spotify. I don't know if iHeartRadio is still a thing, but if it is, we're on there. Google Podcasts, if that's still a thing, we're on there. So anywhere you want to go as well. Chocolate City Hoops is not, to my knowledge, on any audio platforms right now. I will confirm that. I only ever watch the video version myself. So I know, Riley, you've been listening to us for a minute. I just like plugging that for everybody here too. And there are some people that I have seen in this chat for 6 years and they're like, oh my God, I had no idea there was an audio version of the podcast too. So always worth reading for people. Kevin, you are a longtime Wizards podcaster as well. A little bit of hiatus right now. Any plans to dust off the old podcasting chops other than popping on here with me?
Possibly. It's I'm producing 2 for my day job, so hosting and producing 1 for my day job and producing 1 for my day job. So I'm a little podcasted out, but I may fire it back up and try to do YouTube lives and that kind of stuff. If I do start it back up, it'll be more that kind of thing. Record them, put them out on audio, but it'll be more like just sitting and talking.
You're welcome on here anytime. I will do all the production work, so you can be spared doing that for one podcast anytime. Let's kind of just recap here a little bit. While we had the fellas on, we were not listing out the picks quite as often. So I'm going to run through everybody here real quick, so bear with me. Wizards, Dybantsa, Jazz, Peterson, Grizzlies, Boozer, Bulls, Wilson, Clippers, Wagler, Nets, Mikel Brown Jr., Kings, Darius Acuff Jr., Hawks, Kingston Flemings, Mavericks, Morez Johnson Jr., Bucks at 10, Braden Burries, Golden State Warriors at 11, Yaxel Lenenborg, Thunder at 12, Adai Mara out of Michigan, Miami Heat drafting on behalf of Milwaukee at number 13, take Nate Ament, the Hornets at 14, take Hans Steinbach out of Washington, Bulls, Dalen Swain at 15, the Grizzlies, which is supposedly being traded to the Thunder, took Bennett Sturts at number 16. Strange pick to me if you're the Thunder, especially if you maybe Nikola Topic is on the move or they don't believe in him long term. I thought he would be the next point guard to get some minutes off the bench over there. Oklahoma City then took at 17 Abuka Okori, although that's being routed to Memphis. I like that pick a lot for Memphis. The Hornets, Christian Anderson at 18. The Raptors took Alan Graves, Kevin's fan favorite Santa Clara power forward, at 19. The Spurs took Jaden Quaintance out of Kentucky at number 20. The Detroit Pistons took Kareem Lopez, who we talked about earlier on the show, and then are apparently routing him to Memphis. And then the Philadelphia 76ers took LeBaron Philon at 22. So 23, the Atlanta Hawks are on the clock here. Handful of picks left. So if the Wizards are going to make a move here, we'll see. Apparently this Hawks pick is in, and the commissioner is walking to the podium here as we speak. By virtue of being on Hulu plus live TV, I am like 30 seconds behind real time. So as I'm saying this, you may already know who the pick is here. But if I were them, I would take Cam Carr. They didn't. They took Zuby Ejiofor out of St. John's. So, they needed another physical presence, I think, which makes some sense. You saw that listed there, a 6'7" center, but the dude plays, Kevin, like he is 6'11" and a half. Like he is just he's a physical dude. So I think that's a good choice for them in terms of fit.
Yeah, and also long-armed.
Yeah.
And a great jumper. And so he ends up, even with his whatever it was, 6'7" and a half, in socks measurement, he still came out as about average, or at least in the normal range for an NBA big. So if you're going to be playing him as a backup 5, you're fine.
Agreed. Yeah, totally agreed. Kevin, we are pushing the 11.
When Kareem Lopez was going to Detroit, because I was thinking, hey, look, if you can draft the next Ron Holland, draft the next Ron Holland, right?
That one was one where I saw Ron Holland in high school and thought, wow, this is a really fun player. And then immediately thought, how's this going to work in college? And then obviously he went to the G League Ignite instead of college. Didn't really work all that well there.
No.
And I'm unfortunately not all that surprised. It's not been, I would say, a total success for the Pistons thus far. Yeah. So that's unfortunate for a guy that was, had such a high school pedigree too.
Yeah.
But hey, I'd take an NBA paycheck or two, before moving on to other things.
Absolutely.
All right. Loan money. Trey doesn't need to be the same player he was in Atlanta. He just needs to run the O, facilitate, and keep everyone involved. He's never had this much length, talent, and defensive help around him. I think that's probably fair. The couple of the Hawks teams they made a run with are maybe a little underrated in terms of their ready to contribute now proven talent. But I agree, on paper, long-term talent for sure. I would like to see Trae Young. I'm not expecting him to be good defensively, Kevin, but if you don't need him to do everything, why couldn't he be a pickup 94 feet guy every couple possessions, or speed up or slow another team down? Just to teams are doing that more in the NBA, of just trying to take longer to get into shot clocks. You see teams like Miami, especially, where they will run all these delayed actions and fakes of sets that they're going to run. And if you can make them take 4 seconds longer to get into that, you've really thrown off their options. So I would love to see the Wizards do that more. They don't really have anyone, I would say, in the perimeter or in the backcourt that can do that super well. But Trae is fast enough to do that and recover and keep up with guys. Do you think there's any world where they can convince him that Trae Young, superstar, should pick someone up 94 feet?
I doubt it. You could order him to. My guess is that he would get beat repeatedly. He plays a little upright. He doesn't get down into a stance. And so that's an issue. And then the other issue with him is, well, not the other issue. There are other issues with him.
Sure. And another issue. Yeah.
So one is he's terrible on-ball defender, so the team bring him into the action. But he's also a really bad off-ball defender. He's a very poor help defender. He loses track of his man. He ball watches. But he also doesn't react. So he'll ball watch and then still just stand there while the play happens in front of him, rather than getting involved in spots where he could. He does get a few steals, so that's a little something, but he's a problem on defense. And I think that the Wizards, you're paying that much, you need him to do a little more than run the offense. They need him to at least be responsible defensively, whether that's it doesn't mean he necessarily, but just the position stuff, move his feet, get the body in the way, that kind of stuff.
Make people work just like a tiny little bit every once in a while would be nice. I don't know. I'm not picky.
Like Jalen, I realized different body type, very different body type, but Jalen Brunson will put his body in the way. He will move his feet. He will try to body and be physical and at least give effort, especially when the stakes are high. And with Young, that has not been his MO. And so we'll see. I mean, maybe he gets it. Maybe he puts out more effort, that kind of stuff. I think in terms of getting him to pick up full court, that's not very likely. My guess is that if you're going to get anybody to pick up full court on this team, it'll be Koulibaly.
I would really like, because he could be an actual menace. I was just like, is there just any world where you could deploy Trae Young where he's like becomes less of a net negative to your overall defense? And that was like the closest thing I could come up with of like, maybe that's something they could try.
Yeah. Now that's a definite weak spot. So the New York Knicks, by the way, on the clock, and there's some pretty good players, I think, still sitting there.
Yeah. A Cam Carr for them would be a steal, I think. Like that's a dude that fits with what they're trying to do. I think, especially if just like they could use another athletic wing to just throw in there. They do need another big eventually next to Cat. Like Chris Sinak could learn from someone like that as a stretch big candidate, even though he did not shoot the ball particularly well.
There you go, picks in, and the Knicks picked Cam Carr.
Okay. I mean, that just sometimes just the obvious pick is the right pick. And I don't know what their long-term cap is and things like that, but he's just a dude that will come in and be another weapon. You can put him out in transition. He can learn from the Mikal Bridges of the world too, of, I don't know, or OG Anunoby, like those kind of guys of just like long physical defenders of like, what are the tricks and all those kinds of things. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty good selection there too. Kevin, anyone high on your board here that we have not mentioned yet that you would want to throw some love to?
Yeah, let's see. I mean, the highest rated guy that I have still available are Sergio De La Rey.
Okay.
He'd be a pretty nice fit, I think. Big guard going to the Lakers. I could see that.
I will say the one thing I question with him is the defense, and they already have a lot of tall playmakers who do not like that end of the court. That would be my one scary thing. Whereas, like, honestly, somewhere like New York could have maybe insulated a player like him a little bit better, and they may lose a Jose Alvarado as a backup point guard. I would have liked someone like him for New York, honestly, and just like a change of pace size-wise from Brunson.
One guy we haven't talked very much about, he's a little bit lower down, but still, in this range, not a bad pick at all, would be Koa Pete.
Yeah, I like Koa a lot, man. And I've been asked to like defend the liking of him so far. And I would just say go back and watch the literal first game of the college basketball season where he just obliterated a really, really good Florida front court almost by himself. And if you can be that productive as a 6'7" power forward who doesn't really shoot it, I mean, that's just crazy to think what it'll look like, when he does shoot it. So
somebody in the comments just pointed BG 140, 147. The Lakers and Knicks swapped picks. So
gotcha.
That'll be
Cam Carr to the Lakers. I like that for them as another transition athlete next to any of their other guys. And maybe if his defense comes around, he can protect some of those guys we talked about there too. All right. Who would you go then if you were the Knicks? Is it De La Rey? Do you like that fit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just a talented kid, get him into their system. And, if he can learn from those vets, really any of these guys. I mean, if they're looking for somebody who's more like quote unquote NBA ready, Richie Saunders is there. He's a good player. co-compete somebody, again, I wouldn't mind. He's a little young. He's only 19, but still. Another guy, if they're looking for somebody, although they can get him probably as an undrafted free agent, is Duke Miles. He's somebody I'd like. But you talk about that dog, that competitiveness that the Knicks have. That would be somebody who would fit in there.
I like that.
Would also be interesting there.
Honestly, I don't know. Like the guys at the top of my board right now are Kobe, Chris Sinak, and Malik Thomas. And you could sell me on any of the high pedigree freshmen there as well. Riley mentioned all three of those in the chat too. Like I like this draft so much, man. Like I mean, there are a few guys that have gone already that I'm like kind of meh on, but any of those three, if I got them late in the first round, I would feel really good about that. Like Koapete is just an effing winner at every level, and every cliche people make about Cam Boozer, the same things apply to him across the board here as well. And it's like, oh, he's undersized. Well, he's always been undersized, and he just dominated dudes that are going higher in the draft right now. So, there's something to that, I think. All right. Well, we'll see who the Lakers pick. But
Riley says he'd still trade next year's one, maybe top 3 protected for one of those 3.
Interesting. Would you do that, Kevin?
I would not trade in for one of those 3, but I would trade next year's first for De La Rey.
Okay. I like that.
So if I could move in, or, if I could say, I don't know if somebody has this combination of picks, but if I could get, say, 26 and 35, just spitballing here, and then take De La Rey and Trevon Brazile. I would love to. Brazil's my white whale in this draft.
I like that, man. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. I like that. Yeah. I mean, I would not be mad about him either. Interesting. Like, I wonder what the price would be with just second round picks. Is there a world where all the second round picks they have, the 2 this year, 2 next year, any of those things just for future draft capital could get you a late first year? I don't know how many it would take. It's probably a lot, but second round picks mean so much less to me right now, other than just like assets for throw-ins on trades. I would burn some of that capital right now if it were me.
Yeah, I would too. I've got De La Rey at 13th overall, and he's still there. So I would be. I realized that the mocks have him at 33rd.
Yeah. Hey, no, call your shot. I mean, you've got the resume here to back this up with other guys that have come up in past years that the eye test for some of these guys had them a lot lower, and the numbers said otherwise. So.
I only remember the good picks and the really awful ones, but I did have Jalen Brunson. I think I had him like 11th overall in that draft. So
we're going to nerd out tomorrow at some point on this podcast. Maybe I'll wait until after the round to do a late night one, but late second round is usually like I thrive in these moments situation here. So I'm excited to call some shots on some I don't know 45 plus picks in the second round tomorrow. Which I don't know, Kevin. How are you feeling about the split the draft into 2 days thing?
I don't like it. I would rather just go do the whole thing start to finish. That 1 year, a couple years, I think we did 2 rounds all together. It was to me, it was a lot of fun. It was definitely taking
a grind,
but it was. I mean, we talked a lot of hoops. It's just. I don't know. It's for whatever reason, it's tough coming back for a second night. I would rather just do the 6 hours or whatever in one night.
When they initially proposed it, I was like, oh, I'm going to like this. More draft is better. Stretch this thing out for me as long as possible. But it feels like it made the first round drag out longer too. And just, I'd rather just dispense with the suspense and just get to it, right? These teams do not need this many minutes in between each consecutive pick, unless there's some trade, maybe, I don't know. But for the most part, I feel like by the time the team before them picked, they probably know who their guy is just based on how their board falls and all that kind of stuff too. So I'm not really sure what that gets them. All right. I'm tweeting this out right now for everybody, but if you've listened to anyone here on the show tonight that you are not familiar with and you would like to follow them, I am tweeting their handles out on Twitter in the order they've appeared. So we started with Ben Becker, then you got Greg Finberg, Will Clayton, Jam Hines, Jim Coulter, and DJ Chandler. I don't think I'm missing anybody there, right? It's been a long night, but I think that's the crew. Anyway, all great follows. I would strongly encourage that. Kevin, you get your wish here. Your boy is off the off the board here and goes to the Knicks. So we just talked about the fit here in New York. I really do think this makes a lot of sense for them, and he may not have to come over right away here either, which is maybe also potentially interesting for them.
Yeah, I like the pick, and it's an interesting player. I mean, guys who are as productive as he is in the leagues that he's playing in overseas are usually very good NBA players. So I feel pretty good for the Knicks that they got a good player this late, which is relatively rare. Usually picking this late, it's hit or miss. And it probably still is, but realistically, there's a chance. Where Denver goes with this.
Yeah, same. There are certainly worse flyers you can take than on a 6'5" point guard in a draft that had really good production and shooting numbers in a big time league. So
he averaged more than 9 rebounds per 40 minutes.
He's
in a professional league. That's really like the only league that's better is the NBA. So
yeah. I mean, he can start the break for you. He did knock down some shots. It is a little slow, so I think that's an easier thing to fix of the problems people have. And I had someone text me a clip of him the other day, and it said Spanish Tyrese Halliburton, ? And it's like, I don't know that I quite see that, but if he can run that kind of offense, then you just don't care about anything defensively either.
Okay, so as long as we're talking about Tyrese Halliburton here, so Halliburton literally, it became my favorite player in the NBA.
Sure.
And part of the reason for that was I evaluated him so strenuously before he was drafted, in part because there was a disconnect where he pops really high in Yoda, and then he's considered by the consensus to be much lower, and then NBA teams agreed with it. But what I saw when I watched him play was, one, he's a genius level passer, and two, as funky and as weird as that shot looked, it always went in, right? Yeah. I mean, he hit everything. And then, the more research I did on him, this is a kid who his teammates freaking loved him. His coaches absolutely adored him, right? And then I was talking to an agent at the time, and they were telling me that when they had one of their clients who was in the draft and worked out with Halliburton, went to one of the team workouts, and Halliburton was there. And his player called him and said, "Can get me in workouts wherever Halliburton's working out. I want to work out with him because he made me look so good." And it wasn't just the passing and all that kind of stuff. It was just the enthusiasm and the attitude and the leadership that really everybody else just played. They competed harder. They went through the drills harder. They had more energy. It's just, he inspired people around him because of his personality. And I was like, pick this guy. And, the Wizards went with Avdia, and Avdia, has turned out to be a fine pick. If they'd kept him, he would have been fine. But Halliburton was the best player on a team that went, was a torn Achilles and 20 minutes from being a champion. So
sure. One of the things that threw me off a little bit in college is that they were kind of bad when he was the dude. So it was like, all right, are the stats a little inflated here? But I got to sit at a high school game next to his college coach, Steve Broom, and just like, obviously guys are going to be effusive to somebody they don't know about one of their players that's about to get drafted. But like, I feel like I have a pretty good BS meter, and it was just like next level stuff. I also had the same thing though, where Jim Christian told me the exact same things about Jerome Robinson, and I bought into that as well. So that was one time where the BS meter did not work out quite as well. But I mean, those things all could have been true. The game just didn't translate at all out of Boston College. But
yeah, I would say Jerome Robinson, was also not as he didn't have the same kind of size, and certainly not the
skill was just not
the genius level passing and the just the creativity and that kind of stuff.
If you're still following along in the chat, thank you. It's late, so we appreciate that. Everybody's got to get up and go to work tomorrow. It is tougher earlier in the week like this. I wouldn't have minded a Thursday, Friday draft personally, but that's okay. If there are particular prospects left that you have questions about, or what these guys will do with the last couple picks, we can certainly talk about any of those for you as well. Hit that like button for us. And again, you are always welcome to drop a donation. Kevin, you also no firm commitment to stay on here an excruciatingly long time if you also need to drop off and be productive with your life here, but you were also welcome to stay as late as
I
you like
blocked
to.
out the evening for
That's my guy.
through the first round.
I rarely use AI for things, but I was having a hard time Googling to see how long last year's draft went. And in my mind, it was 3 hours, but I couldn't remember that at all. And we were also in California last year for the draft. So we went out to dinner after, which really threw off my sense of how long it took. And so I Googled it and it said it's anywhere from like 4 hours to 4 hours and 15 minutes. Or that's what ChatGPT came back with after the fact, which was the best answer I could get. And I was like, dude, we're cruising through that. No way it'll take that long. And now it's like, these last 5 picks, they may take another hour at this rate. So,
so what do they have? They have 5 minutes per pick. Is that?
Yeah. Plus some fluff in between to, reset some things and go to commercial and analyze some stuff. So,
yeah. So we're looking at probably 3 hours, 5 minutes, maybe 4 hours.
Yeah. That's a commitment. So anybody still sticking with us, we appreciate y'all.
I think they should be doing the second round. Come on.
Hey, if we're gonna be sick about it, let's go all in. And speaking of that, Draft Sickos, we mentioned that Jam Hines on the show earlier. They will be doing a live No Ceilings NBA show tomorrow. If you want full in-depth coverage of every pick throughout the second round, we are not sick enough to do that. If I was confident the Wizards were going to use both second round picks and they were spread out a little bit more, maybe I'd say let's run it back. But that's a bit of a commitment.
Yeah.
We could talk about those picks after the fact if they make them. Can you imagine sitting around for 3 more hours to get through picks 51 and 60, and then they trade them both at the last minute? That'd be tough.
Sell them or something.
Yeah, that would not be a fun experience here. All right, Denver. The pick is in Terrace Reed Jr.
Okay.
Terrace Reed was someone I thought stunk at Michigan. Goes to UConn and kind of rocky first year, and then turned into prime Wilt Chamberlain in the NCAA tournament. And that's the reason we're seeing him largely as a first round pick. He is an old school back to the basket center for the most part. He will rim protect. He will dunk. He will bully you. I don't believe there's a ton there from stretch potential, and I don't know how much you want him switching on the perimeter, but if you just want a guy to be athletic and do old school big man things, I don't hate it. I think as they say.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna he'd be a backup in Denver, but he hits pretty much all the big man benchmarks. 61% from on twos. Didn't shoot the free throws very well, but I mean, good offensive rebounder, good defensive rebounder. He got some assists, a few steals, blocked some shots. It's all big man stuff, and so I can certainly see that working out for them. Denver, I think I would have been maybe a little more interested in some shooting, that kind of thing. But at this point in the draft, really the thing you got to do is just pick the guy you think is good.
Take someone who will last. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For Denver, I'm just trying to look and see here who's under contract next year, and they do need to replenish the front court a bit. So I get that. So not totally.
Is Valanciunas coming back next year?
That's the question. It does not seem like he wants to be back from everything I've seen reported here too. I literally just clicked away from the contract and I already don't remember if he has an option for next year or not. Give me one more second. Let's see. Nuggets contracts. Jonas Valanciunas has a non-fully guaranteed amount for next year. So I don't know what the guarantee looks like or how much of it is not fully guaranteed. But they have him. They have Najee back again next year, and Deron Holmes, who didn't play for them this year due to injury. I mean, he played, but like he was coming back off of the injury from the year before. So that's a tough ask. So yeah, I don't know. They're probably still in the market for a veteran backup big. I would think here from.
There's a trade. BG 14147 says Reed
to the Spurs.
To the Spurs.
Interesting. 35 and 2 future seconds. All right.
So after we finish talking about how good he's going to be in Denver. So
I mean,
the Spurs now with a couple of backup bigs.
Yeah, they're just throwing. I mean, that's probably insurance for, hey, Jaden Quaintance, maybe a guy that isn't even fully healthy enough to play all year. So Reed can come in and at the very least do Terrace Reed things from day one. So
learn the Cornet could test and just take over the Luke Cornet spot.
Yeah, exactly. That makes some sense. City of Oak says, are the Wiz really going to run a 10-plus person rotation when everyone is healthy? Potential non-starters, Bub, Trey, KG, or Bilal, Will Riley, Champagny, maybe a backup big. I think the answer is no. I would imagine not all of those people are there after the trade deadline, though, and you see certain people kind of elevate and replace them. But I don't know, Kevin, what do you think?
So I would say they probably will run basically a 10-man rotation. Most teams do during the regular season. The Wizards did even in instances where Brian Keefe was trying to win, is they would tend to play, really like 9 3/4.
Yeah, exactly. Depending on health or who sits a certain night or whatever.
Yeah, but they usually would use a solid.
Sure.
Like I say, 9 and I say 3/4 because it would usually be like a 10th guy. The 10th guy might play 6 minutes in the first half and then not play in the second, that kind of stuff. So my guess is that the answer to that is yes, they'll have pretty much a 10-man rotation when fully healthy, and they'll might shorten it a bit when guys are, somebody's hurt, or they might then, the next guy up so that they're not taking people out of the rotations.
I think that's a good way to look at it. I'm going through and updating my own board here just to see like who's left and where I'm at, and I have a couple of these bigs a little lower just because I don't know. I would never draft bigs, and I don't know that the guys that are going to go undrafted are that much worse. Like personally, I prefer a Henry Vasar to the 2 bigs who went most recently here, largely because I believe he can shoot and he is bigger and more of a rim protector. So I would have gone with him, all things being considered there. Chris Sinak Jr. to the Boston Celtics, unless another trade, which BG, let us know if you know something we don't hear. But interesting. This is a smart pick for the Celtics, and they can afford to be patient with his development. They need another long-term piece. I think it was evident in the playoffs that Neemias Queta is probably not a guy you want on the floor in those situations. And Joe Mazzulla has shown he loves to play 5 out. And I think the theoretical version of Sinak is a guy who eventually shoots it from the perimeter at a decent clip. So this is them kind of getting their type of dude at the very least.
Yeah, it's an interesting pick. And I will say Brad Stevens he's a good talent scout. We know that. He's a good evaluator. They do a good job.
Yeah, that Brad Stevens guy, I'd say he's pretty good about knowing things about basketball. And Baylor Shireman is a guy on their team that I had like probably 25 spots higher than consensus. Maybe not that many, but I don't know, considerably higher than consensus a couple years ago, and has worked out pretty good for them because shockingly, just being skilled and good at basketball is a good talent to have sometimes.
What is this? I'm trying to. The logo is tiny here. Is that Dallas on the clock?
Minnesota. But they owe that pick to Brooklyn supposedly as a part of that trade. So
interesting. I still have like 10 guys, 12 guys with first round grades. So
I mean, honestly, that may never happen again. I will not throw a friend of mine under the bus, but as someone who covers about college basketball for a good amount of their work, and he was trying to have the hot take that next year's draft is better. And it is not. Just unequivocally, if you get bored after this, somebody will publish a way too early 2027 mock draft after this. And that shit's roll sad. I'm sorry. Like it is. And there are guys being drafted right now I would take like well into the lottery if they had come back next year. Like Malik Thomas as is, if he had just happened in 2027, I would have absolutely just, done that and rocked with it. All right. Whoa. Big old donation. Let's go. My guy Raphael, let's go. Just get in from a hike with my family. He's on vacation right now, so thank you for joining us late. This is suspiciously timed by my wife while we were on vacation. Yep. Funny how that works sometimes. But hey, family over NBA draft. I fully understand that. I hope you guys had a lovely time and are having a lovely vacation. Thank you for contributing here. A lot of sick, wounded dogs and cats will be taken well care of with that. So thank you for doing that. Anything going on here? We will catch up. The Wizards drafted and did exceedingly well. From my opinion, they didn't screw anything up, which is always the barometer by which I judge Wizards basketball. So that was awesome.
Did not run out on them.
Right, exactly. They did not forget to make a pick or sit in the green room or whatever. So that's a win. And yeah, get AJ Dybantsa. And then everything after that has been fairly chalky, I feel like. No crazy bombshells other than a couple guys like LeBaron Philon and Cam Carr maybe dropping a little lower than consensus, but those are probably the biggest ones I'd say so far. Kevin, anyone I'm missing?
No, I would say, well, for me, Sergio De La Rey, but he went, I think, about where he was actually expected to go. So, yeah. And then the big jump ups for me, I guess surprises were not surprises. Ade Mera, I had him rated much lower than consensus. Let's see, Bennett Sturts I had as a second rounder, and
that's a tough one for me.
Yeah, and then Jaden Quaintance, I had him rated lower just because I'm stat driven, and he barely played.
When there are no stats, and even the year he did play, didn't put much on the box score.
And then Kareem Lopez also I was lower on, but 21st pick. It's like at that point, you make your evaluation if you're a team and just pick the guy you think is best.
We never finished the thread earlier. Did you ever get to run Elijah Mahi from Santa Clara?
Yeah.
There?
Let me see. I had him pretty low.
Okay.
Let me see. He would come in 60-ish. So he's the kind of guy I'd be looking to win. Not to say he doesn't have potential, of course, but it's just undrafted free agent kind.
I like that. I would still happily take him on a two-way if he does not go tomorrow for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm about that. All right, let's see. Best availables. Who we got going here at this point? Let's see. I have Malik Thomas and Koa Pete are my two best availables at this point by a pretty good margin. So then I have Henry Vasar and Josh Jefferson and Trevin Brazil.
Yeah, I like that group. As most of those guys, Vasar a little lower down, but same with Jefferson. But still, like going in this range, not terrible. But my next available is Trevon Brazil. Richie Saunders is another guy I like. Koa Pete, Malik Thomas, Isaiah Evans from Duke, the wing. So
I think Isaiah Evans is probably somewhere in this mix. Somebody will take a shot at him. You can't let the Duke guy fall out of the first round. I feel like that's against NBA code here. So
I thought he was going to go like 13th overall because he went to Duke.
Right. I did talk to somebody who works for a team, and they directly said, like, the Duke bump is real just because of the like everyone you pick from them will probably be a prospective GM at some point in the future. So like you're drafting someone who just knows their role and like will get the business portion of it. Like Sion James that went last year. I wanted to go to New Orleans. I already forget, or Charlotte, right? Charlotte. Stays local, just a ready-made, do what you did for Duke in the NBA as the exact same type of player, and is like so smart and so polished. It's like, okay, like I do kind of get it. It's annoying shit as a non-Duke fan, but
he's somebody who ended up being better, I think, as a pro than I expected him to be. And when I finally got a chance to actually watch him play, he kind of, I can see why. He's definitely fit. His conditioning is outlandish, and his effort level is slightly less psychotic than Jalen Suggs, but only slightly.
I like that. Yeah, it's if you brought back the old Wizards conditioning test,
he would ace it.
Yeah,
he would have been like, when are we going to have a workout?
Yeah, do we take him number 10? All right, Joshua Jefferson is the guy drafted technically by Minnesota, but by all accounts being routed to Brooklyn. I really, really like this dude. He's another guy I would bet money looks better than this in a redraft. However, the Brooklyn one makes a little, I guess, I don't know. If they're trying to just win basketball games next year, I think he is a ready-to-go guy, and I do buy the shooting long-term. So maybe he can space out around Randall a little bit here as another front court option too.
Yeah, he's somebody I was a little lower on, and I'm just skimming through the numbers now. So a couple of things. One, he did not do very well at the combine.
And I do think some of that was like lingering injury stuff. He had like the high ankle sprain in the tournament. And I can't imagine that helped.
Yeah,
he's not a crazy athlete either way, but
yeah, he did not shoot it particularly well. Only 70% from the free throw line. I do like the rebounds. There's a lot there to like though, because he rebounded, a lot of assists, plenty of steals, some blocks, and he turned it over, but more than 3 per 40, but also more than 6 assists per 40. So we're talking still a 2-to-1 assist turnover ratio. So there's a lot there to like. I'm curious to see what he can do when he hits the NBA, because it seems like he's got some playmaking and some overall pop to his game. So
if you, and again, I know college success doesn't always translate to the NBA, but someone that at least reasonably fits an NBA profile, I mean, he was like genuinely a top 5 MVP candidate in college basketball the entire year. And it's just like, that's not a coincidence. Like the guy drives winning, and it's like, well, he doesn't do this or that. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Teams guard him like he can shoot it. So guess what? That's the same. I mean, it's not the same as being able to shoot it. Going in the basket is better, obviously, but like it's going to have the same effect if you're just talking about like a role player kind of guy. Like teams aren't sagging off of him completely. So I don't know. We'll see how it all.
No, I mean, what you said it's a really good point. Is that there is a value in being somebody that teams feel like they have to defend, whether they should or whether they, but if they know you're just going to pull it, if you leave them open for a second, then they feel like they have to do it. And even if you're only shooting, say 32%, because if you hit inevitably you will, if you take enough of them, you hit 3 in a row, then it's the coach timeout and they're pissed, right? So
you made that point with Trae Young too. Like even if you're shooting 33% on threes, teams are going to close out to him on to 28, 29 feet or whatever because of it. Yeah, he's not shy about getting them up there. Also, a little different for the role players because they probably end up on the bench if they pull some of those. But if you're Trae and you can get away with it, more power to you here. We are winding down on our night 1 draft coverage here. Obviously, 2 picks to go. The Cleveland Cavaliers are up unless this has somehow also been traded, and then Dallas closes it out. Any predictions, Kevin, on who you think they will take? Not who you would take, but who you think they'll take.
Who I think they will take. I'm going to guess that Cleveland will take Malik Thomas.
I really like that. And I think he also is just a good fit for what they could use there too. Like another shooter who can put the ball on the floor a little bit, play make a little, combo guard type. They've just seemingly, I don't know, not had much of that off the bench here lately.
He can really, really shoot it.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and
But
athletic.
doesn't get credit as a shooter, which I don't understand. Like no one talks about him in the like who are the best shooters in this draft conversation at all. And to me, he absolutely should be. And this is not a dude that was taking like wide open, easy catch and shoot jumpers only. Like he was, he cooked. Like he will ISO dribble and then take a step back, and it's still over 40% from three.
Right. I'll say, his 2-point percentage was pretty low.
That's the problem. Yeah.
41.6% on threes. And we're talking more than 7 per 40. And he shot 84% from the line. This is a guy, when he lets it fly, the ball's going in. And so at the NBA level, one of the things you could do, especially as a backup guard, is if he doesn't make twos very well, don't take twos.
You are now our specialist. Enjoy that. All right, BG, you were basically the Shams of this draft podcast tonight here.
For real.
Cleveland is trading number 29 to Sacramento for 34 and a future second. The Kings are interested in Alex Caravan at 29. Where did I have Mr. Caravan on my board here? Let's see.
I got a control F here. Hang on.
I had him 40, so this would be rich for me. I do think nowhere on is undraftable.
No, I mean, well, sort of. So I had him 56.
All right. I mean, that's
so Kings kind of big.
Yeah, that's that's tough. That's tough. That's a tough beat.
Okay, let me try to
That's the winningest player in UConn history, Kevin. Come on, man.
Yeah, so it's a team sport and all this kind of stuff. But he can shoot, right? Okay, so that is the thing. So 56% on twos, 37% on threes, 85% from the free throw line. So this is a guy who, when he puts it up, the ball goes in. He even got some rebounds, some assists, and all this kind of stuff, but like no steals, not many assists, no steals really, no, very few blocks, doesn't turn it over, but overall, it's just like not mind-blowing kinds of production. And, his usage was pretty low, so it's not like he was carrying an offense. Even his three-point attempts were relatively low for somebody like this. So I don't really love this pick for Sacramento, but it is Sacramento. So
I did that one. If you had told me Cleveland was making the pick, I could much more understand that as just like a ready-made role player. Like the sales pitch is just come do exactly hear what you did at UConn to a slightly lesser amount of minutes and just be solid, hit stationary jump shots, be a reasonably good positional defender, and make cliche like winning plays, and that would be it. In Sacramento, they're just such a mess. Like I just don't see them being a team that gets optimal value from someone like that.
Yeah, it just feels like they could have gotten a maybe a little bit better version with Isaiah Evans.
Much higher upside guys were still.
Yeah, they could have taken Koa Pete, would have been a better pick for them. I think Malik Thomas would have been a better pick.
Brazil
would have been a better pick for sure. Although I think Brazil, I would really love to see go to a team with like a great passer. I
agree.
Like I would love to see Brazil with the Lakers because, I think Luka would just have fun throwing the ball up there. Like how high can I actually throw it? Can I throw it to the top of the backboard and you'll go get it? And the answer would probably be yes.
I would have taken Baba Miller out of Cincinnati. By way of Florida Atlantic, by way of Florida State before that. A 13, 10, and 4 guy, essentially. Didn't shoot it particularly well, but I think, has a lot of other feel beyond just the shooting. So that makes more sense to me as a project. Because if he ever does shoot it, you've got a 6'11" guy who does basically the same things. So I don't know.
Maybe, man. Yeah. Okay. I mean, again, we're at the 29th pick, and so most of these guys are probably going to be misses anyway.
Sure.
But I would have personally preferred to pick somebody with a little more of a chance, I think, of making a rotation.
Yeah.
Than I think Caravan will have. And
just take Malik Thomas. What are we doing? What do I not understand?
I think either him or Koa Pete probably should have been the pick, or Brazil.
Yeah. I am now doing the like, what am I missing here thing? Is the intel bad? Are the medicals bad? Like, this one is a little surprising to me personally. BG, Phoenix trading up to 30 and taking Koa Pete per Brett Siegel. Do we trust Brett Siegel? No shade intended. I'm genuinely asking. I don't know. He's probably right if he's confidently tweeting that out. But okay, keeping an Arizona guy in Arizona, I don't hate that. And yeah, I don't know. Good for you.
Fine. Yeah, I mean, it's kudos to the Suns for, using a draft pick.
Sure.
Going up and getting one. So that leaves Trevon Brazil.
Yeah.
Sitting there. I've still got, let me see here, call it, 10 guys that I had with what I would consider to be a first-round grade still available.
Man. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, to be honest, in terms of total number. My next 4 guys, let's just say, nice round number there. I have Malik Thomas, Henry Vesar, Trevin Brazil, and an absolute nobody has this person even in the draftable range. I have him in the first round. Michael Ajayi, Adam Butler.
Wait, let me find him real quick because I did evaluate him. So
okay, all right.
I have him as a draftable grade. I've got him in the 60s.
Gotcha.
Interesting. I'm skimming across. Yeah, I'm not too enamored with not. Let's see.
This is strictly for the vibes, and I just buy him as like a motor guy who will figure out the rest. But we shall see.
My next group of players, Trevon Brazil, who we talked about, Richie Saunders, Malik Thomas, a guy that I have who nobody has in a draftable range, but I have with the first round grade is Duke Miles.
Yep, I like Miles.
Isaiah Evans, Isaiah Nelson, Bruce Thornton from Ohio State, this kid from Virginia.
Ugana and Yansu.
Yeah. Shot blocker, right? Yeah.
He will dunk everything, and he will block the shit out of everything you throw up anywhere near him.
Yeah, so I mean, to me, it's like give him a role, set screens, rim run, rebound, block shots. If you can just get him to do those things, I think he's 15-minute per game player for sure. Toby Awaka, another guy, Tameen Lipsy, Baba Miller, we mentioned him before.
Yeah. I like Lipsy a lot. I mean, by virtue of watching Iowa State and doing a bunch of those games this year, the Iowa State guys are gonna defend. They just are. It's another one of those programs where you can't survive there if you don't. And he runs a team. He's scrappy as shit. Like, I would just bet on that kind of guy at a certain point in this draft too. And I think there are a lot of guys left that are very much specialists, and just kind of what you want to get with that specialty. I think, we could give you a handful of names, and at least that makes for an interesting enough second round tomorrow of the Wizards could still get somebody that fills a very particular role for them. I think what you see from the rest of these guys is it just becomes he gives you one thing and maybe a half another thing. And that's kind of it, which I'm not mad at in the second round. At least it's a projectable skill at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see what the Wizards choose to do, and whether they make a move to come up into that maybe top 10 of the second round to get a guy.
Will Dawkins trade into the 30s here and go get Malik Thomas, Trevin Brazil, one of these guys we've talked about ad nauseum here tonight, and I will never give you grief again because that would be a baller move and I would respect it. So if you care about such things, Let's see. If anyone is still listening almost 4 hours into this, God bless you. If you listened at any point tonight, God bless you.
Yeah.
If you donated at any point tonight, God bless you. Same if you hit the like button, left a comment. If you were one of the guests joining us at some point throughout the night, thank you. And Kevin, for you sitting here for almost 4 full hours with me, thank you again for doing this. I look forward to this every year, regardless of what the Wizards are going to do to make me sad, even though they haven't done it yet this far this year.
I got to say, this is one of the highlights of the year. I really enjoyed doing this, and so thank you for doing this, and thanks for everybody for listening, and thanks for having me on again. It's like I said, a lot of fun.
Go find Kevin on Bullets Forever. You know where to find all the stuff I do. If you're listening to this, we appreciate you. And we'll be back with more Wizards basketball coverage throughout the summer here on Believe in Wizards. See y'all next time.